Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the chosen heir of the 10-tailed demon wolf? Part 2. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, so without wasting any time, let's get into the video. After Kurama left the village with her former vessel, it was chaos in the village. The mob of civilians were all dead, killed by the tailed beast ball. Fugaku had several chakra burns on his person and he growled angrily. Damn that demon. Looks like he'll be taking his frustration tonight out on his wife Mikoto and their daughter, those poor innocent girls. Kakashi swore. I will kill you demon brat and your bitch of a mother too, this I vow on my sensei's grave. His lone Sharingan eye morphed into three stretched triangles evenly spaced around the pupil that each curve at the top around the eye to form a circle, making it similar to a pinwheel, and then returns to the normal three-tomo form. Kakashi covered it with his headband and went home to rest and recover. Kakashi never saw the figure watching him on one of the buildings. This figure wore a black long-sleeve top that covered his neck and chin, a pair of black gloves, a pair of dark-colored pants, a long green scarf and standard sandals and white stirrups. On his waist, he wears a thick black belt with armor-like metal plates attached to it and similar plates on his upper arms. He had blue, black and the manga, nail polish on his fingers and toes. He wore this outfit under his Akatsuki cloak and also wears a purple ring, which bears the kanji for jeweler sphere, Jyoku, on his left thumb. His face was obscured by an orange mask with a black flame, and through the eye hole on the left side, a single fully matured Sharingan eye glowed as it suddenly changed to his Mangekyou Sharingan, which was the same design as Kakashi's, as the Sharingan Kakashi now wields was originally this man's own left eye. His hair was long and black, resembling Murata's hairstyle. Kakashi, team, you fool, Ni-chan would never let you kill her son, nor will I allow it, and sensei can rot in hell for using Ni-chan like that. Rin-chan was the only good thing about that team. And you murdered her, I'll make sure to kill you for that. He said in a cold voice. The cloaked figure vanished, leaving behind no trace of his presence. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen felt the familiar Yauki and shivered. Oh no. The seal, has it been broken? No, I must get Naruto and check the seal. He summoned his Anbu with a snap of his fingers. The lead Anbu bowed. You called us, Hokage-sama. Go investigate what happened out there and bring Naruto back. Hiruzen ordered sternly. Yes sir. The Anbu scattered. Sarutobi inhaled from his pipe to calm down. But he was mad. He had seen the whole murder attempt from his crystal orb. Those fools. I told them to only break the boy, not try to kill him. Now, everything could be in jeopardy. He was suddenly reminded of Kushina's threat earlier and paled. She would be utterly furious. I can't let Kushina find out. I must get Naruto under my command. Hiruzen looked to the picture of Minato. Oh Minato, our plans could be in jeopardy due to these circumstances. The picture seemed to scowl as if Minato was telling Sarutobi not to give up hope. Naruto would brought under control. Sarutobi smiled. You're right Minato, we can't give up. He's our ultimate weapon and we will gain control of him. The picture seemed to suddenly lighten up again with Minato's award-winning grin. Forest. Kurama ran through the forest with Naruto on her back in a smaller version of her fox form. She looked back at him. You've impressed me Naruto, you stood up to me in my full-size demon form without any fear. Maybe you're the one I've been looking for. Soon she came across a hollowed-out tree. She waved her tails and the tree shimmered and changed into one of her many hidden dens in the area. She walked inside and the illusion reapplied itself. She took Naruto to her bed and placed him on it. Kurama returned to her human form but left her fox features out. The Kitsune princess sat down besides Naruto. She reached out and stroked his hair. Surprisingly, Naruto seemed to rest peacefully despite all he's been through. I think Naruto-kun is the future 10 tails. He just might be my chosen mate who I've been searching for my whole life. Kurama blushed at the thoughts she was having towards Naruto, who was but a child and yet already way more mature than anyone his age. She was much older than he was and yet his sheer iron will and maturity were really appealing to her. Kurama had always been searching for that special person for her. She and Gina were the best of friends, basically sisters, and some people who knew them have spread rumors that they were lovers, not true although they were very close to each other. Kurama knew she and Gina were considered goddesses among their kinds and had many male and yummy forbid female admirers. However, the thought of one of those irritating morons actually being their destined mate was utterly ridiculous. They wanted a person who could be a challenge to them, even put them in their place from time to time. Naruto fits the bill, being the future king of demons. It didn't hurt if their chosen male happened to have more power than them. Something Naruto had in spades and would grow into as he was trained. Kurama suddenly sensed several chakra signatures heading in their direction. So the old fool sends his forces after us. I let them come, more fun for me. She smirked evilly before snapping her fingers, taking down the illusion on her den, yet real slowly so they would foolishly believe their own release took it down fully. The Anbu looked around for any clue to where their weapon was. Suddenly they sensed a great and familiar yaki. They went to the deepest part of the forest where they saw what appeared to be a hollowed-out tree. One Anbu clasped his hands together. Kai. The area shimmered and revealed a strange holdout grove. It was a den. The Anbu smirked behind their masks, which were of a pig, snake, ram, and bear. "That's where the demon is," Bear said venomously. "The Hokage-sama said to bring the brat back," Pig groaned. "But he never said in what condition," Snake said in a sadistic tone, cracking his knuckles. Ram chuckled. "This will be fun." They all grinned evilly behind their masks and ran into the den. Not knowing they were running straight to their doom, they were walking right into Kurami's trap. Kurami stood up with an evil gleam in her visible crimson eye. "I do believe I have some unwelcome guests." She walked out of the room to greet them. The Anbu then stopped as they detected someone heading straight towards them. Then a beautiful red-haired woman walked into their path. Blonde highlights and streaks ran through her hair. Her outfit seemed to show off her curvaceous form. If not for her extra features, she'd be the most perfect woman they ever laid eyes on. The red fox ears tipped with blonde or the 9 tails trailing behind her like snakes, and the visible glowing red slit eye. They knew what she was and that they were done for. They walked straight into hell. Kurami smirked at the Anbu baring her sharp fangs. "Well, it seems I have unwanted guests in my house. Don't you know that it's rude to enter a lady's home without permission?" She lifted one hand and a blue flame orb formed in her palm. "I'll show you what I do to unwanted guests." She raised her hand and aiming the growing fireball right in their direction. It crackled as it grew more intense and larger. The heat started to melt the floor and the Anbu were sweating behind their masks. The Anbu shivered. They just walked straight into the lion's den, or should they say fox's den. Kurami incinerated them all with a quick blast of her kitsune bai. Nothing of them remained, not even ashes. After killing the Anbu, Kurami returned to her room to watch over the sleeping Naruto. But she sent out one of her messenger kitsune to inform Naruto's family of his whereabouts beforehand. His Uchiha ruins. Kushina Uchiha Uzumaki was downright furious. She and her daughter were fighting off Konoha's Anbu and Danzo's Na Anbu, who had apparently been waiting for them here. It was an ambush set by the council. Just as she suspected, the former Jinchuriki swore that as soon as they dealt with this mess, they would head back to Konoha. Kushina was getting a bad feeling that something was happening to her Naruto. There were 10 normal Anbu and 10 Na Anbu, so 20 Anbu in all. The fools had no idea they were challenging the daughter of Murata Uchiha. Kushina had inherited her mother's Uchiha blood just as strongly as she inherited her father's Uzumaki blood. She was the most powerful Uzumaki since her late distant relative Mito, whom she named her daughter after. The Anbu threw several kunai with paper bombs attached to their ends. The kunai struck the ground in front of the 2 Uzumaki females, and the tag set off in a huge explosion, smoke raising high. The rat mask Anbu landed. "Well, I guess that's end of the demon's little family." The monkey mask Anbu agreed with a cruel laugh. "Yeah. It was too easy. They were so easy to beat. How that red-haired bitch managed to seduce Yondaime-sama is beyond me." A third Anbu with a horse mask licked his lips in a lecherous manner. "I think she's hot. Hey, maybe if she survived I can have a go at both her and her daughter." Brad and Minky shook their heads. "Pervert." An ox mask Anbu blanched. "Disgusting. Why would you want to even touch that demon's mother and sister? Besides, they're ashes." Horse chuckled perversely. "So what if they're related to the demon brat? Uzumaki is quite a looker. I'm not surprised that Yondaime-sama fell for her." Just then an extremely evil chakra was felt by them. A huge purple ribsage was surrounding Kushina with 2 bony arms crossed in a blocking position. Her daughter Mito stood behind her. They were completely unharmed. The Anbu were stunned. "What? No way. It couldn't be. Impossible. Those were direct hits. How could they survive?" The Anbu watched in shock and terror, frozen by the sheer evil feeling of this chakra. It was just pure unrestrained malice. Kushina had her head down with her eyes shadowed. She slowly raised her head, revealing her EMS glowing bright crimson, those powerful eyes haunting the Anbu's vision, even through their masks. More chakra bones then formed and grew into the shape of a humanoid skeleton made of purple chakra. Then muscle and skin formed on the demonic-looking humanoid. It had 6 fingers like all Susanoo on all 4 of its hands, its second pair of arms branching out from the first. The Anbu watched in terror as the entire being now materialized and rose up to its full massive height around Kushina, protecting her and her daughter, as they were now inside the gem in its head. A massive demonic purple humanoid. Its head gains a long tengu nose and 2 lines running down from its mouth to its chin area, as well as hair which is tied up at the sides. Think Madara's Susanoo but purple like Sasuke's. It had sheathed swords on its hips, which it took one and unsheathed the chakra blade. Kushina gazed down at her opponents with a look of absolute bloodlust. Her hands were flexing, testing out their new claws. Her canine teeth were much more prominent and more favored fangs in appearance. Her eyes gained black outlines around them almost like eyeshadow. Her hair grew more wild as the dark whisker-like marks appeared on her face, again with orange chakra coming off her. Her battle lust completely overtook her mind. Her eternal manjikyu glowed maliciously at them with a slit in the middle of the design. So, this was all just a trap, just as I expected from you council-worshipping teams. You wanted us gone for the day, so you could try to murder my little Naru-kun, and now I will destroy you all. Susanoo moves and raised its sword up, it rose over the Anbu ready to crush them to a pulp. Kushina's kai rose, paralyzing the Anbu in pure terror. They couldn't move even an inch, they were completely frozen in fear. Even the Anbu were frozen, unable to even budge, as the giant purple blade was now an inch away from crushing them into bloody paste on the ground. But then Mito looked at her and she stopped her actions. The Uzumaki heiress pleaded with a pout. "Ka-chan, can I kill them please? I want to do it for Itato-kun." She gave her mother the puppy dog eyes. Kushina giggled. "How can I deny my Musum's wishes?" She nodded with a gentle smile as her demonic features retracted to normal. "Of course you may, Musum-chan, when you're finished please bring their heads to me." She dispelled her Susanoo, they both landed elegantly on the ground before the Anbu. Kushina deactivated her Dojutsu revealing her lovely violet eyes. Mito smiled. "Right, Ka-chan, this is for Itato-kun." The younger Uzumaki ran straight at the Anbu, who were paralyzed by her mother's dark chakra and demonic kai. It was over in an instant barrage of kunai slashes. All the Anbu and Naanbu were now dead and decapitated. There were about 20 heads in all. Mito took out a large sealing scroll and sealed all the heads in it and brought the scroll to her mother. Kushina smiled and took the scroll full of heads from her daughter. "Thank you, Musum-chan." She turned back to the bodies and destroyed them with a quick Kaiten jutsu. "Come on, Mito-chan, let's get back to Konoha and give that old bastard a piece of our minds, then let's make sure Naru-kun's alright." The worried look on her face was seen from thinking about what horrible torture they're probably putting her son through right now. "Hi, Ka-san." Mito exclaimed, equally as worried as her mother. Soon they vanished via Yuzu Shunshin, heading straight back towards Konohagakure. Hidden Palace. The blue orb of light appeared at the palace and reformed into Gina and the dog named Ace, who was one of her father's massager dogs. Ace looked at Gina and bowed. "Taisho-sama waits you in his study, Gina-sama." Gina nodded. "Thank you, Ace, it's been a long time since I've last spoken to father." She entered the palace and was greeted by the Impyaki servants, same species as Jakin. They bowed. "Gina-sama, welcome home." Gina dismissed them and walked through the halls of the palace. At the end of the great hall was a door. Gina opened the door and walked into a large study room. The tall man of 6'3" was sitting behind the desk overlooking paperwork, much to his irritation. He had the same silver hair Gina had except darker and tied in a ponytail and the same slitted amber golden eyes. He wore a similar outfit to his firstborn sons, but the armor on the shoulders was much more medieval looking and thicker. Blue stripes decorated his face under his eyes. Running down his back was what appeared to be a long thick furry cape that split at the middle and went the ground resembling twin tails. This man was the father of Gina, Sessamaru and Inuyasha, and the lord of the western lands. He was the Inu no Taisho, or Taisho for short. Taisho smiled at his eldest and first female child. "Gina-chan, it's been so long since we've last seen each other. Look at you, you inherited your mother's looks and have become as beautiful as she was. No, you have surpassed your mother's beauty." His eyes started wavering, though moving down to stop at his daughter's large bust, which was partially revealed by her outfit. Gina smiled. "Thank you, father. Now what is it you needed to speak with me about?" When he didn't answer right away, Gina noticed her father's eyes not meeting hers and saw his gaze was too low for her comfort. Her smile quickly became forced. "Father, eyes up." Taisho quickly looked up. "Oh, sorry, Gina-chan." Now I'm worried once again. His eyes strained to keep contact with his daughter's face and not her chest. Gina became annoyed and smacked her father upside the head. "Father. What would mother think of you acting like this?" Taisho shook the forbidden thoughts out of his head. He then got down to business. "Well, I'm worried about you, dear. You're my eldest child and my firstborn daughter. I noticed you seemed rather lonely lately with the disappearance of your friend and Yuriko-chan having gone missing. Gina-chan, have you found a mate yet?" The dog general asked, and the reaction of his daughter was not expected. Gina was blushing deeply and fidgeting like a horny fangirl. Gina had a warm, serene expression on her face, practically glowing red like a stoplight. "Yes, father, I have found my chosen mate." Taisho gaped as she went on to explain. "You see, father, I went looking for my best friend Kurami-chan and I came across a shinobi village she had attacked a few years prior. She was sealed within a young boy. The humans refer to them as Jinchuriki." Taisho raised an eyebrow. "Human sacrifice. Nowadays the humans sacrifice their kin. Why that young Rinnegan wielder created sealing jutsu, I'll never know. I'll never understand humans' ways of thinking." "Yes, father, and from what I've heard, Jinchuriki are meant to be weapons for their villages." However, this one was treated much worse than even the lowest criminals. He can be very cold, but I have seen his other more gentle side. Gina brought her hands up to her face holding it. He treats the village as a plague, but with me, he treats me like a person and not as a prize. Her mokomoko lifted up from her waist and unfurled. Gina hid her face behind it, blushing up a storm, but she peeked over it to finish her explanation. His family doesn't know much about me yet, it's like a secret relationship, we're hiding our relationship from the entire world. So romantic. She ducked her head back in and let out a fangirl squeal muffled by her mokomoko. Aisho was completely floored, he'd never seen his daughter like this before. I'd thought I'd have to take up Fenner's proposal to marry his son to her. But it seems now I don't have to. He smiled. I'd like to meet this person you like sometime in the future. Gina-chan, by the way, what's his name and age? Gina peeked out from her mokomoko. His name is Naruto Uchiha Uzumaki. Father, she blushed a whole new shade of red. He's currently 6 years old. Aisho gaped. C6. Then he's only a child, how can you have fallen for A? Because Father, Naruto-kun cares about me, he's so mature for his age, he doesn't just want me for my looks, he told me himself, he wanted to see how strong I was in battle. Gina ducked her head back in with an eep and released another squeal. Aisho continued speaking with his daughter after she calmed down from her romantic state. Gina assured her father when he asked a certain question. Don't worry father, I will wait for Naruto-kun to age before we do anything. She turned away blushing. Intimate. Aisho smiled. Okay dear, I'll be expecting some grand pups to spoil by that time. Gina's blush grew deeper. Father. Aisho chuckled. Gina-chan, I'm over 3,000 years old and I want to enjoy my time with some grandchildren. Okay father. Gina said with a smile. Is this all you wanted to see me for? Yes dear. So I'll assume you'll be going back? Taisho asked. Gina nodded. Yes, I must return to him, Father, Naruto-kun needs me. She leaned over her father's desk and embraced him. I'll promise, once Naruto-kun is trained and a bit older, I'll bring him here to meet you. Aisho's mind went blank as he tried not to enjoy the feeling of his daughter's huge breasts pressing against his head. Must not grope the breasts of my own daughter. He mentally chanted over and over. I look forward to meeting him, daughter. The very experienced demon lord managed to resist the innate groper's urge and easily pushed the forbidden thoughts away. Gina left his study and headed back to Konohagakure. Aisho closed his door and returned back to his paperwork, only to see the large pile has grown even larger now. He gained a tick mark in his forehead. What the hell? How does this keep happening? The dog general's eyebrow twitched as the paperwork seemed to have little faces on them with evil little grins, mocking the great demon lord. You know, I'm thinking that I was better off dead. Aisho muttered angrily. But he quickly shook that thought off and just decided to bear the paperwork. Taisho pulled out a certain orange book known as Icha Paradise and started reading it, giggling. Humans really do make good stories. He said, drooling, and as he looked at the sexy erotic pictures he imagined himself and his mate Masami, Gina and Sessamaru, and Yuriko's mother in the humans' places. Blood dripped from his nose. Asami-chan. I hope you come and visit soon. Somewhere in another great palace, a just as sexy older version of Gina aka Masami sneezes twice and wonders who's speaking of her and why she suddenly wants to kill her husband. Masami clenched her fists and unleashed some of her yaki. I'm betting that Taisho-kun was thinking of something perverted again. Her golden eyes flashed red. Taisho-kun. If you're thinking about anything perverted, she left the threat hanging and her servants all shivered, feeling their mistress's rage. In a misty forest, a cute young girl of about 12 to 13 years old with silver hair sneezed. Her golden eyes shined with a strong burning fire within her. Daddy must been thinking about something bad again. Her long silver white almost snow-white hair reached down to her lower back. Aisho shivered. Why do I suddenly feel the urge to run and hide? He felt a large yaki hit him and shivered harder. Oh boy, I better make sure Sami-chan never discovers that I read these books. Konoha gates. The two chunin saw a strange blue orb heading towards them and they just dismissed it as a trick of the light. As the orb flew over the gates and into the village. A swirl suddenly opened and from it came Kushina and her daughter Mito. The Uzumaki females did not look like they were in a good mood if the kai from Kushina the two chunin felt was any indication. The two guards shivered at the evil glint in Kushina's violet eyes, like she wanted to torture them until they died, which unfortunately for them she did want to do. Kushina walked up to them with her EMS active and whispered. Tsukiyomi. The poor chunin both screamed as they were mentally tortured by castration for over 3 days in the most powerful game jutsu. They collapsed foaming at the mouth. Kushina giggled evilly. That was fun, and then she and her daughter raced through the open gates, heading straight for the Hokage Tower. Hokage Tower. Sarutobi heard screams and then who should appear via Shunshin but Kushina and Mito. The Sandaime cowered at her sweet smile. He gulped. Kami, have mercy on my soul. Alas, Kami was ignoring all prayers from Konoha. Sarutobi mind explaining why when we arrived at the ruins of my home village, a group of Anbu both yours and Na attacked us. Kushina asked so sweetly even the Shinigami would wince. Sarutobi was quivering in his Hokage chair. Kushina's violet eyes turned into the crimson and black of her eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, with her pupil being slitted as she taps into the leftover Yaki from Kurama. If you won't tell me, old man, then I'll search your mind. She read his memories with her Dojutsu before Sarutobi could react. Kushina raised her right hand and her fingernails elongated into claws. She impaled him through the stomach deeply, so deep in fact that her hand was partially sticking out of his back with his blood dripping from her fingers. Sarutobi coughed and blood flew from his mouth. Also, her dark chakra conjured an image in his mind of the Kyuubi no Yoko itself, looking down at him hungrily with drool dripping from its giant maw. Sarutobi cowered as the giant demon fox looked ready to swallow him whole. Kushina ripped her hand out of the Hokage's stomach, leaving behind a bleeding hole, and flicked the nasty old man blood off her fingers. She hissed venomously. You bastard, I warned you what would happen if anything bad were to befall my little Naru-kun. Her eternal eyes began spinning. Tsukiyomi. Sarutobi's world changed to black and gray with a crimson-red sky. Tsukiyomi realm. Sarutobi found himself tied to a cross by spike chains, and he realized right away what it was, the ultimate gain jutsu of the Manjikyu Sharingan. Here's impaled as Kushina appeared before him, dressed in her old Anbu captain's uniform, with her clan sword strapped to her back. To his horror, Hiruzen saw his own family, his second son Asuma and his daughter-in-law, who was Konohamaru's mother and the widow of his deceased elder son. The two were on their knees before Kushina with the mother holding little Konohamaru. Hiruzen pleaded. No please Kushina, don't. But Kushina just ignored him and withdrew her deadly blade. It was long and had a slightly serrated edge at the tip. Its guard was blue with a Uzumaki clan symbol on the end. You deserve this, old man. You mess with my family, I kill yours. Kushina said coldly, her voice echoing through the dimension. Kushina stabbed Asuma with her katana through the chest and bisected him, causing blood to spray and his two halves to go flying before landing at the foot of the cross with a sickening squelch sound. Sarutobi screamed. Asuma. He was horrified watching the slaughter of his second son. Then Kushina turned her attention on the mother and child. She decapitated both of them, causing more blood to spray. Nuuo. The Sandaime cried out and tears flowed from his eyes at the gruesome deaths of his family. But just then everything returned back to normal with his family once again alive and before him. Kushina spoke evilly. Only 79 more hours to go, Aegis, in a cruel evil smirk worthy of a true Uchiha on her face, her eternal eyes glowing ominously, making her look truly demonic. Kushina was part Uchiha alright, and her sadistic nature proved she was definitely Murata's daughter. The murders began again, and this time the civilians and clans were slaughtered as well. They were beheaded, bisected, you name it. All of the many brutal ways of killing a person were all executed in the ultimate gain, jutsu, to make the murders even more scary. Kushina multiplied herself into many copies, one executioner for each person. Sarutobi was now reduced to a blubbering mess. The Kami no shinobi was completely and utterly defeated by a much younger shinobi and a kunoichi no less. Then Tsukiyomi. Sarutobi was muttering gibberish. He was done, his eyes looked basically devoid of life, his mouth was foaming, plus he was losing a lot blood from the gaping wound Kushina inflicted on him earlier. His body was beginning to shut down quickly. Kushina scoffed. Serves you right, Sarutobi, but I know for now you must stay alive, so I will heal you. She made him look into her spinning eternal eyes again. You will remember nothing of what just transpired. We came back and completed our mission. She then healed the wound she caused. Sarutobi weakly nodded. Kushina gazed into his eyes. Kai. She deactivated her eternal Manjikyu, revealing her normal violet eyes. Sarutobi shook his head confused. Huh? Kushina-chan. What's going on? We finished our mission, old man. Kushina handed him the scroll full of heads. Ah, thank you, Kushina-chan, that will be all for now. Sarutobi said, not knowing that these heads were in fact those of Anbu sent out by the council and Danzo. Kushina smiled before she and her daughter ran out, heading straight for their home. A blue orb was heading for the house as well. But when they got there, the house was in ruins. Kushina paled, seeing the ruins. She ran straight inside the house with deep fear and concern on her face. She screamed out. Naru-kun. Kushina was followed by her daughter. The two of them looked around the house, but Naruto was nowhere in sight. They looked all around the rubble. Kushina destroyed the rubble more, looking for her beloved son. Naru-kun. Where are you, sweetie? Kushina screamed again. She was close to a nervous breakdown. As Kushina threw many things all over, searching only to turn up empty, her mind began to conjure images of what might have happened. Kushina's chakra began to swirl around her body with her fear and worry growing. Her body glowed with dark red violet chakra swirling around her. Mito had to cover her face due to how powerful her mother's chakra was, winds whipped up, rocks rose up around Kushina, and the ground cracked and cratered. It was already at Kage class level, and yet it was still growing. Her chakra swirled and became more visible to the point where an actual being formed, a much darker copy of the Kyuubi herself. The Kyuubi image unleashed a very loud, very real blood-curdling roar before being reabsorbed into Kushina's body. Soon her power sent Mito to her knees. The ground beneath Kushina's feet cracked further due to her power rising. Her killing intent rained down over the whole area. Most of the civilians in this vicinity fell dead due to the immense pressure crushing them. Luckily Kushina and her family lived in a pretty remote part of the village, in the part furthest from the Hokage tower near the village gates. Kushina was really starting to freak out, her mind imagining many horrible things that might have befallen her child. She dropped to her knees and screamed loudly. Naruto-kun is in danger, I must save him. I cannot and will not lose him. Her chakra swelled even higher. Shockingly, a blue orb suddenly materialized next to them. The blue orb transformed into a silver-haired woman in a knee-length kimono. Gina Taisho has returned. Gina walked up to Kushina, who was on her knees with her hands on her head, as her immense chakra swirled viciously around her like a deadly cyclone, cracking the ground and further destroying the house. Kushina's once violet eyes were now a dark crimson with black slits for pupils, and the eyeshadow-like marks appeared around them. Her teeth clenched as they practically doubled in length, causing blood to dribble from the corners of her mouth as her upper fangs had punctured them, and her finger and toenails turned into sharp claws. If Naruto was not found soon, Kushina looked like she would slaughter the entire village. Her long beautiful crimson hair gained more length, reaching down towards the ground, and became more wild-looking. Kushina was curled on the ground as her power erupted around her much longer hair touching the ground around her, yet not getting any dirt on it. She held her head as if in pain. Memories not wanted began swarming through her mind, memories long forgotten, painful memories of the true horrors of her past. Mito kept herself from fainting by emitting her own chakra, which was just powerful enough to help her stay awake, yet she felt complete terror. She knew it was wrong to be scared of her own mother, but her mother truly was a demon in human skin, the bloody demoness of Konoha, and this was why. Because of her violent, unpredictable nature, lust of carnage, and the cold evil feeling of her chakra. Naruto-kun. Where is my Naruto-kun? Where is he? If he's been hurt, then I'll finish what Kurama-chan started. Kushina screamed out in a demonic tone worthy of Kurama in her full-size demonic fox form. Hello? Gina called and reached out only to have to grab Kushina's right arm in mid-swipe. Right that minute Kushina's sharp claws were a few mere inches from striking her head. Gina gasped. If it weren't for her natural-born reflexes as an Inugami and her intense training, she would have died just now. Kushina was just that good due to her skill as an SSS-ranked shinobi. The Uzumaki woman's crimson eyes were full of pure malice as her EMS activates. In her current state of mind, everyone was an enemy to her and were in the way of her finding her beloved Naruto. Gina thought about what had just happened. For a human, she's so strong that power is no doubt similar to Kurama-chan's, but how? I thought Naruto-kun was Kurama-chan's host unless she remembered something Naruto had told her about his mother. Excuse me, but are you Kushina Uchiha Uzumaki, Naruto-kun's mother? Gina noticed she had some trouble holding Kushina back when she mentioned Naruto. Kushina's strength appeared to multiply, and the Inugami queen could barely hold her clawed hand from striking her back. Kushina roared, outraged. How the hell do you know my Sachi? Talk. I don't recall ever seeing someone like you around him. Her aura flared up larger around her body, increasing her strength even more. She began to overpower Gina. Her Susanoo began to manifest in skeletal form. Gina knew she'd better tread carefully, never underestimate the power of an enraged and worried mother, especially when that mother also happens to be one of the last of the strongest clan in the world, the daughter of the most powerful Uchiha in history, and a former Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko no less. Put all of that together, and you have an uber-powerful kunoichi who can defeat practically any opponent, Kage, demon, or otherwise. So the Inugami queen instead asked this. Do you know Kurama-chan, the Kyuubi no Yoko? Kushina's eyes widened and she was surprised enough that her chakra retracted, her Susanoo disappeared, her body and hair returned to normal, and her EMS deactivates. She nodded. Yes, I know Kurama-chan, in fact I was her previous host. Gina stared in surprise. I had heard the rumors that Kurama-chan was sealed 2 previous times, and by this very village. She shook herself out of her thoughts. How did you get along with her? Kushina was lost in her memories of her time as Kurami's host. Well, we got along great right from the start. She began babbling on how she first met Kurama and how their friendship evolved from their very first meeting, even about the pranks Kurama came up with for Kushina to pull in her academy student days, especially the ingenious prank she pulled on Minato Baka. Now that was one memory of her dead ex-husband she will always treasure. Gina winced at the now cheerful tone of the once insane woman. No doubt she's as crazy and cheerful as Kurama-chan can be. Kushina changed the subject. But she was actually sad about something, and one day she told me about a certain best friend of hers, someone named Gina. She mentioned that she hasn't seen or heard from her for 2 centuries. Gina smiled sadly. Kushina-chan, I am Gina. Kushina was shocked. You're the best friend Kurami-chan always talked about. Yes, I too have been searching all this time for Kurami-chan after we were separated, Gina informed her. I see, so you're really that close? Kushina asked. Gina nodded with a smile. Yes. Is it that hard to believe? Well, a little. Kurami-chan never mentioned her past until I became a chunin. Kushina said, sheepishly rubbing the back of her head. Gina smiled. You remind me of Naruto-kun when he's not all cold. Kushina giggled. Naruto-kun gets it from me. At the mention of her son, Kushina suddenly turned worried and depressed again. Naruto-kun, where could you be? Kushina walked over to Gina and begged her. Gina-chan. Please find Naruto-kun. Tears falling down from her violet eyes. Please find him, please. I don't want to lose him. I just can't bear the thought of losing my baby. Gina nodded. You can count on me, Kushina. I will see if I can detect Naruto-kun's scent. She closed her eyes, raised her head, and began to sniff the air for Naruto's scent, not noticing the surprised look on Kushina's face towards her at the kun suffix added to her son's name. Naruto had never told them that he knew someone as beautiful as Gina. Kushina knew she was not a bad looker, if anything, she was one of the most beautiful kunoichi in Konoha, only rivaled by her daughter Mito and Tsunade herself, but Gina seemed to have a goddess-like radiance about her that even Tsunade lacked. How did her son know this woman? Kushina knew she would have remembered seeing someone like this around the village. How is Gina-chan so familiar with my Naruto-kun? How does Naruto-kun know her, and why didn't he ever tell me that he met a girl? Kushina thought suspiciously and also worried. Could it be impossible? No way. Her eyes widened at the realization. Does Gina-chan have a thing for him? Could Naruto-kun like her too? Kushina's right eye twitched at the thoughts that appeared. No. I won't allow this. He's too young. Her hand slowly became claws as her leftover Kyuubi Yauki flowed through them. Her violet eyes flickered crimson as her Sharingan activated the 3 tomo, rotating slowly. This can't be happening now. It's too soon. My Naruto-kun can't be this popular with girls already. He's only 6. I won't let anyone take him away from me. Naruto-kun belongs to me. Kushina was twitching and her hands were clenched tightly. But before she could threaten the Inugami, the trio turned their attention as a poof of smoke appeared in front of them. The 3-tailed fox stood before them. One of Kurami's massagers, due to Kushina being her former container. Kurami can't send her messengers straight to her. The 3-tailed kitsune walked up to them asking. Kushina Uchiha Uzumaki. Kushina nodded. Yes, I'm her. I am Kaio, a messenger of the great 9-tailed kitsune princess Lady Kurami-sama herself. I understand that you wish to know the whereabouts of your son Naruto-sama. The newly named Kaio asked. Kushina perked up at the mention of her child. Yes, please, where is he? Tell me. Is my Naruto-kun okay? She had tears in her eyes, begging the fox to know what fate befell her beloved son. Young Naruto-sama is safe and sound with Kurami-sama in her den. Kurami-sama wishes to watch over him for the rest of the day, and you may come to retrieve him tomorrow. Kaio saw Gina and smiled. Ah, Lady Gina-sama of the Inugami. Kurami-sama will be glad to see her best friend after 2 centuries. Gina nodded. I see, so Kurami-chan's been released from Naruto-kun. Kaio confirmed with a nod of his own. Yes, Gina-sama. It seems Naruto-sama freed her and awakened his own powers. Kushina-sen, you should be honored, for your youngest child is the future ruler of Makai and all of demonkind. Kushina was surprised. My little Sachi is the future ruler of demons. She smiled proudly. I always knew he was destined for great things. She nodded happily. I can trust Kurami-chan to watch over Naruto-kun for the rest of today. Kushina turned to her older children. I let Kurami-chan watch over Naruto-kun for today, we'll pick him up tomorrow. Yes, Kushina knew of Kurami's nature considering she was her previous host. They had a very good bond between Biju and host. Kushina was really pissed when that masked man ripped Kurami out of her after she had given birth to Naruto. Then he took control of Kurami using some special dojutsu and caused that hell to befall her family. Kaio bowed. Then I shall come tomorrow and take you to Kurami-sama's den to retrieve Naruto-sama. He soon vanished in a poof of smoke. Mito soon came to and wondered what happened. Kushina explained to her what special future awaited her little brother, and soon they rebuilt the house Gina helped the Uzumaki family rebuild. Now then, it was time to show the council what happens when you mess with an Uzumaki maiden, a lesson Iwagakure learned the hard way long ago when the Tsuchikage sent some of his ninja after Kushina to rape her, only for her to brutally murder all of them in a berserk 5-tailed state, thus earning her moniker the Bloody Demoness. Kushina and Mito went to the Hokage Tower. Gina told them she would watch the house while they were gone. Hokage Tower. Tsurutobi sensed a certain powerful chakra heading straight this way. Oh, Kushina is not happy. He turned to his Anbu. Quick, call the council for a meeting. Yes sir, Hokage-sama. The Anbu quickly gathered the council members. And soon a meeting was underway with everyone already arguing on what transpired with Naruto a few hours ago. Kushina and her daughter arrived at the door to the chambers only to see two kunoichi blocking the way. One had violet hair tied in a pineapple style and pale brown eyes which were pupilless like the Hyuga clan in a way. She wore a long brown trench coat and a fishnet mesh underneath. The other kunoichi had long wavy black hair and red eyes similar to the Sharingan, minus the spinning tomo and a single ring in them. She wore a Jonin flask jacket and red inner outfit. Mito sneered at the red-eyed kunoichi who glared right back. These two were Anko Mitarashi and Kurenai Yuhi. They were 19 years old Chunin and Jonin respectively kunoichi who were best friends. Kurenai was known as the Ice Queen of Konoha due to her tendency to reject every male that ever asked her out on a date. She was also the second best kunoichi at Genjutsu right behind Mito, who was right under her mother in Genjutsu and ninjutsu skills. Kurenai despised Mito, and it was likewise for the Uzumaki heiress. Not only because Naruto the Kyuubi brat was Mito's little brother, but because Mito still had her family while Kurenai lost her father and mother in the Kyuubi attack, she was jealous and bitter towards Mito because the Uzumaki heiress had her family to love her, not even caring about the village itself. That reason in and of itself made Kurenai declare Hinata her arch-rival, not like the older girl even acknowledged her. Anko was Orochimaru's former pupil until he abandoned her and erased a good portion of her memories. To the villagers and some other shinobi, just as Naruto was known as the Kyuubi brat, Anko was called the snake bitcher snake whore. She was just as hated as Naruto was, yet she tried fit in by trying to harm Naruto. Of course the young ice-cold boy never had even acknowledged them, either making them only try harder, but the last time they were caught, Kushina, who had just come back from a mission, physically and mentally tortured both younger kunoichi for hours until they cried for mercy and begged her to stop. In other words, Kushina brutally beat them and then used Tsukiyomi to basically shatter their minds and turn them into vegetables. Luckily Sarutobi stopped her before that happened. Mito spat out venomously. Yuhi. Uzumaki. Kurenai spat right back with an equal amount of venom in her tone. Step aside so we may enter and see the honorable council, Mito said calmly. The word honorable was said with sarcasm so sharp it could cut through a Matarasu. But inwardly Mito was hoping this little council-serving bitch would refuse, give her a good reason to end her pathetic little life. Anko was silent now, sensing Kushina's cold gaze on her. It frightened her more so than any of Orochimaru's glares, and her mind was still in turmoil from the immense torture she had suffered at the elder kunoichi's hands. Kurenai scoffed smugly. You think we'll listen to you, Uzumaki? This girl is seriously overestimating herself. Kurenai might be strong enough to take on some untrained jonin, but Mito is far more skilled, strong enough to fight entire Anbu squads by herself, and her mother is right there, a Kage-level kunoichi, who can give even Yondaime-sama and Sandaime-sama a run for their money. She flipped her long hair back arrogantly. The Honorable Council has ordered that no one interrupt the meeting, and we are to deal with anyone who tries. Kurenai withdrew kunai. They're talking on what actions to take towards the demon brat, but if you want my opinion, he should be killed just so we can finally be rid of the Kyuubi. Suddenly Kurenai felt a huge kai aimed at her and looked to see Mito glaring at her via 3 Tomo Sharingan. The kai caused her to gulp and lose some of her grip on her kunai, but Kurenai tried to be strong, keyword tried. Mito brushed a hand through her long red hair. Well, no one was asking you for your opinion now, were they, Yuhi? Shouldn't you and Mitarashi there be off scaring men away? Kurenai and Anko forgot their fear of Kushina to glare at Mito, hoping she'd burst into flames. Alas, Mito did not. Instead, the Uzumaki princess lifted her arms high over her head, showing a good view of her large E-cup breasts, which jiggled with each gesture she made. Any men who came by instantly flew into blissful unconsciousness from jetting nosebleeds. Mito purred. Oh, it's not your fault you two aren't as developed as Kachan, and you're just not from clans like us. Kurenai growled. Why, you bitch? It takes one to know one, Yuhi, Mito said dismissively. Anko yelled. How dare you speak to Nai-chan like that, Uzumaki? Mito turned to Anko with a dark stare. I don't remember speaking to you, snake whore, now keep quiet. Her tone was so cold that even a Hyuga would shiver. That familiar cruel name and icy tone stung Anko. They stung her very bad. She couldn't keep up her bravado much longer. Anko's fists were clenched and tears were beginning to fall. Kushina stepped up, now face to face with them. I'm afraid you two aren't even near strong enough to stop me, Yuhi. She now towered over the much smaller and younger kunoichi who cowered at her close proximity. I think it's time you two girls took a little nap, now sleep. Her Sharingan began spinning like a pinwheel, subconsciously putting them under her control. Kurenai and Anko tried to resist, but alas, their minds were much too weak to resist the legendary Taijutsu. Within seconds, they fell to the ground unconscious and now subconsciously Kushina's servants. Kushina grinned, her Sharingan retracted. Sleep well. She then turned to the door only to be met by 2 squads of Anbu, so it seems several people wished to die today. Each of the Anbu drew their swords, though they were shaking in terror at being in the presence of the bloody demoness. Their leader was a purple-haired woman with a cat mask, her codename was Nico, and her birth name was Yuga Yuzuki. The purple-haired Kunoichi pointed her sword at Kushina shaking. Sorry, Kushina-sama, but if you wish to interrupt the council, then we have no choice but to arrest Yuga was shaking in her boots. She knew it was futile to try and engage Kushina at her current level. She knew that this woman could literally rip her and all of the Anbu squads in Konoha apart with just her bare hands. But for the good of the village, she would lay down her life to stop her. Kushina shook her head. Council worshipping teams, I'm not in a very good mood right now. She unleashed pure murderous intent upon the Anbu, they froze in terror, and her Sharingan reactivated, a giant purple humanoid silhouette appeared behind her. Kushina spoke in an evil tone. I'll teach you not to stick your nose where it doesn't belong, you little bitch. Poor Yugao felt as if she would faint from terror even through her mask. Kushina's power then broke Yugao's mask revealing terrified grey eyes. Kushina made eye contact with Yugao via her Sharingan. Yugao found herself shadowed by a giant monster. It was a demonic-like chakra humanoid with glowing red eyes. Kushina advanced towards Yugao and soon stood face to face with her. Yugao trembled as the older Kunoichi raised one hand and placed it on her now visible face, her mask long gone somehow. Kushina purred sultrily. What's wrong Yugao-chan? You look frightened. Kushina stroked Yugao's cheek before bringing her closer to her. Council chambers. The council was arguing about what happened earlier today. The civilians were screaming kill the demon and all that crap with Tsume, Hiashi, and Inoichi agreeing with them. Fugaku and few other arrogant lesser clan heads refused to come to the meeting, claiming it was beneath them. Shikaku the Nara clan head left Naruto alone, claiming he was too troublesome to deal with. Tao's like Inoichi despised a boy, yet he wouldn't dare try anything when Kushina was around the last time he tried something. Kushina beat him up so bad that he couldn't eat for 3 whole months. Chaozu was out today with the flu, and Shikaku was as usual too lazy to even show up, so it was just the heads of the Hyuga, Inyazuka, Yamanaka, Aburami, and Kurama clans that were here. And the annoying civilians and the elders. Sarutobi groaned. Why did I have to allow Fugaku to hurt Naruto? That was a big mistake, one that could cost us big time. Soon before the arguing could escalate even further they heard screams of pain and mercy outside the door. Soon the doors were blown open as several Anbu went flying everywhere into the chambers. They smashed rather hard into the walls, leaving human-shaped indentions where they smashed. All of them were dead. Hiashi checked their chakra with his Byakugan, no chakra was flowing through their bodies. They all had gaping wounds on their chests dripping blood onto the floor. The civilians cowered seeing the best guards in the village beaten down and killed. Sarutobi winced. No doubt about it, this is Kushina's handiwork, alright, only she can take on the entire Anbu force and emerge victorious. Sure enough, the red-haired woman strolled calmly into the room with her head down, her chakra was surrounding her in a dark violet aura. She looked up to reveal icy violet eyes that could freeze hell over 1,000 times. Next time you send Anbu, make sure they're more skilled. Old man, I barely broke a sweat with these idiots. Kushina brushed some of her long hair back and over her shoulders. She then stretched, getting some satisfying pops from her shoulders and back. Hiashi yelled. Kushina. That demon is corrupting your mind, it must be. He was instantly silenced as Kushina gazed at him with a look of pure venom that made his heart almost stop. Her hair raised up into 9 tails as she unleashed a small burst of chakra. Hiashi quickly covered his eyes to avoid being blinded. Kushina's chakra was so bright yet dark that any Hyuga would be blinded within minutes. What has happened to her chakra? It's so much stronger now. That demon happens to be my son. Kushina's tone was like ice. I'm just doing what any good mother does, defending my son from all threats. Her Sharingan appeared spinning, and several people in the chambers felt strange, even Sarutobi and the clan heads, as Kushina forced her will upon them subconsciously via Jinjutsu. Sharingan, they wouldn't even suspect a thing. You all are starting to look a little ill, maybe we should postpone this meeting for now. Kushina suggested. Sarutobi wiped some sweat off. Well, you're right, Kushina-chan. Okay everyone, this meeting is over until further notice. Everyone agreed and all exited the chambers, except for the civilians and elders. Kushina smirked and turned, walking out of the chambers with her daughter. She suddenly stopped in mid-step, but Mito went outside to wait for her mother to finish her job. You know, you civilians and elders are the largest thorns in my side, Kushina said with her arms crossed and eyes closed. I'll remove you now, before you cause us too much trouble in the future. The civilians all gasped. Her eyes suddenly snapped open, Kushina suddenly vanished in a burst of pure speed that most people could only dream of achieving. One civilian let out a gurgled scream as she thrust her arm through his chest, delivering a fatal knife hand strike, causing blood to rise up from his throat. Kushina sliced him in two with her bare hand in a sweeping slash motion, her fingers coated in his blood. The other civilians screamed and tried to run. But Kushina was ready, violet chakra chains sprouted from her back before shooting at the fleeing civilians, sharp kunai-like blades on the ends of the chains gleamed. The poor civilians never stood a chance as the chains easily reached and impaled them in vital spots, causing instant death to them all. Then the chains pulled out and retracted back into her body. Kushina brushed her long hair back. All too easy. She then blurred and decapitated both Mizuki and Kizaru Haruno with her sword before they could even try to plead or run, making their daughter Sakura an orphan now. Hamura yelled. "You bitch. For this you will be arrested and your little hell spawn will pay the price for your actions." But then Kushina looked to the elders with a pure look of wrath before vanishing again. Hamura and Kaharu suddenly fell to pieces as more chakra chains wrapped around them and squeezed hard, slicing them to bits. Danzo's visible eye looked around trying to locate her. Where'd that bitch go? How did she get so fast? Her speed's comparable to that strange green jonin that Sarutobi has allowed to live among us. You looking for me? I'm up here, you idiots. A voice called from above. Danzo looked up and sure enough, Kushina was standing upside down on the ceiling as if it was the floor, using her chakra to stick. Her sword clenched in her right hand, her Sharingan active. Danzo suddenly leapt up at Kushina. He had his cane raised which now was revealed to conceal a hidden blade inside the end. The two blades met, creating sparks as they collided. Danzo growled. "Bitch, you will die and your brat will become my greatest tool." He pushed harder but to no avail, Kushina was far stronger than him. Danzo knew that he would need backup from his greatest agents to take her down, slim though his chances were. "Don't count on it, Danzo. You will never touch a hair on my Sachi's head. I should have killed you the first time I met you, but this time I'll correct my mistake." Kushina hissed back the tomo of her Sharingan beginning to rotate, trying to ensnare Danzo in one of her Sharingan-based genjutsu. Danzo smirked and leapt away, closing his eye. "Sorry bitch, I'm not that easy foo. Torn. Come assist your master." Two members of his Na quickly appeared by his side. One had dark auburn hair and yellow eyes, and the other's upper face was covered with a mask and glasses. They both wore similar Anbu-like outfits. Those two were lost members of the Yamanaka and Aburami clans, thought to be dead. The Aburami was named Torin, and he had a secret jutsu that was rare even among his clan, and the Yamanaka was called Fu. "Do, Torin, deal with this bitch," Danzo ordered. "Then we will find a way to obtain her precious demon brat." "Hi Danzo-sama." The two replied and got into fighting stances. Kushina looked bored. "Do you two really think you have a chance against me?" Fu spoke. "Torin, we'll attack her together." "I agree," Torin replied as they ran at Kushina. Torin leapt and threw several kunai at Kushina. Kushina easily evaded the projectiles. Fu lands behind her with his hands out in a unique seal. Mind-body switch technique. Kushina phased into the ground before he could use the signature jutsu of his clan. Fu was surprised. "She just disappeared," Torin said, landing beside his partner. "Can you sense her chakra?" Fu shook his head. "No, it's completely gone." Kushina reappears nearby, going through hand seals faster than any jonin ever could. Fire release. Great fire destruction. She breathes out a huge stream of fire which spread as it shot towards the two northeast Anbu. Fu and Torin just barely managed to dodge it. Kushina blurred out with her sword drawn and beheaded Fu in an instant. "Fu." Torin was angry and tried to attack Kushina as his skin became all purple due to his nano-sized poisonous insects covering him. He threw several punches and kicks at the Uzumaki woman to try and infect her with his bacteria-sized beetles. Kushina easily dodged his sloppy anger-filled strikes even without her Sharingan active, she even closed her eyes and was still easily able to avoid them. Her right eye dripped blood as she opens them, revealing her eternal Manjikyu, the right eye very bloodshot. Amaterasu. Torin was covered in the deadly black flames and he screamed in agony as the flames burned him until he was nothing but ashes. Danzo went through hand seals only to gasp, blood trickling from his mouth as a sword blade appeared right out through his stomach, covered in his blood. Kushina was crouched behind Danzo with her sword jabbed straight through his back and out his stomach. Danzo spat out stubbornly. "I won't die that easily, bitch." He poofed into a log. Kushina looks to the side, seeing Danzo with her Sharingan, and she saw a certain colored chakra she can recognize in the bandaged left side of his face, more precise his eye, the chakra color of a Sharingan. "So you would go as far to steal our Dojutsu just to try and control my son and Kurami-chan?" Her Sharingan eyes glowed ominously in the dark room. "You are definitely dead, Danzo." "Not before you, bitch." Danzo lifted the bandages on his right eye, revealing a single fully mature Sharingan eye. Kushina vanished faster than Danzo's Sharingan could see and placed a seal on him, an anti-substitution seal. There now you can't use the substitution technique for a while to escape death. I know you probably will try to use Izanagi to prevent death. Kacchan told me all about our clan's visual abilities after I awakened my Sharingan. I will not allow someone like you to use the Sharingan. She then ripped out Danzo's Sharingan eye straight from the socket, the elder ninja screamed in agony. Kushina had Uchiha pride like every other Uchiha did. It was a part of the clan's very nature, but thanks to her Uzumaki heritage, she didn't allow her Uchiha pride to rule her like many pure-blooded Uchiha did. Damn you Kushina. Damn you to hell. Danzo cursed holding the empty eye socket. You will be the one going to hell Danzo, Kushina replied as she crushed the eye to prevent anyone else in Konoha from trying to use it. Her eternal Manjikyu Sharingan activated and she formed her Susanu's ribsage and one of its arms which grabbed Danzo and lifted him up, squeezing him before the arm with a single powerful squeeze, crushed Danzo, killing him instantly. Kushina smirked. Goodbye, the darkness of shinobi, she dispelled her Susanu and deactivated her Taijutsu as her daughter Mito comes in. Kacchan, did you do it? Mito asked before seeing all the blood and bodies around. Yes Musum, that is one obstacle out of our way, and Danzo had a Sharingan in his right eye. He was most likely planning to use it to try and manipulate Naru-kun, Kushina said, anger filling her at the thought of her precious boy being used by that manipulative old man. Then it's good you killed him Kacchan, but what about his soldiers? Mito questioned. I think I can make use of them, it will be nice to have my own little spy organization within the village, Kushina said with a smile. Being in Uzumaki she was a master at Fuinjutsu far better than Jiraiya or her late ex-husband Minato. She could easily alter the seal Danzo put on their tongues so they would be loyal only to her. She then sensed someone approach and smirked. Well, you're on time Shisui. Bearing stark resemblance to his ancestor Kagami Uchiha, Shisui has short unkempt dark-colored hair, black eyes and a relatively broad nose and well-defined eyelashes that returns upwards at each end. In the anime, however, these lines are broken instead of whole. He wore the standard attire of the Uchiha clan which includes a high-collared dark-colored outfit along with a tantum strapped to the right side of the back of his shoulder. He also wore what appeared to be a harness for his tantum which ran across his chest and fastened over both his shoulders. Shisui was one of Kushina's spies within the Uchiha clan, not even his own best friend Itachi was aware of his true loyalties. Kushina-sama, Shisui said submissively. I'm here to report my discovery of Fugaku-sen's plans. What is that arrogant fool planning? Kushina asked. It would appear Fugaku-sen wishes to capture Naruto-sama and use his power as a weapon for the clan. Shisui reported. He plans to make Naruto-sama serve his bratty younger son Sasuke as his loyal tool. Kushina narrowed her violet eyes. I see, so the attempted murder on Naru-kun today was just a cover-up for his real scheme. Perhaps I should kill the clan sooner than expected. Thank you Shisui, you may go and continue your spying. Thank you my lady, I won't disappoint you. Shisui bowed before teleporting away. Mito smiled. Compared to Itato-kun, that Sasuke boy acts like the world is owned by him and that everyone should be grateful to be in his presence. Kushina giggled. What do you expect from a child of that idiot Fugaku? I'm surprised that Itachi is even his son. They went back home and went about their business before going to bed to rest up for tomorrow. Next morning. Naruto, our young future demon king awakens after a nice long sleep fully recovered. Naruto opened slitted blue-violet eyes and saw a beautiful red-haired woman looking over him, looks like she managed to get some sleep in as well. Her kimono left little to the imagination and he thought the blonde in her hair complemented the red quite well. Naruto looked at her. Hello Kyuubi, or should I call you Kurami? Kurami smiled. I'm flattered you remember me Naruto-kun, after you freed me you awakened your own demon powers. My own powers eh? The boy slowly rose up and noticed the three wolf tails trailing behind him and felt the wolf ears twitching on the top of his head. Naruto smirked slightly. Sounds interesting, I do remember as a baby a giant black wolf appeared to me after you were sealed within me. Naomi nodded. That wolf was Kyuubi-sama, Naruto-kun, she granted you some of her powers and once you're strong enough you'll be crowned the new Kyuubi. The new Kyuubi huh? Now I'm really looking forward to starting my shinobi training with Kacchan, the boy said in a very sinister tone. Black lightning suddenly crackled around his small form. His energy was incredible, Naruto's power was already beyond the 1 to 8 tails, in fact he was already stronger than Kurami, with the right training soon only the gods themselves would be capable of even damaging Naruto. Kurami smirked. I'm glad you're excited about it Naruto-kun, she suddenly remembered something. Oh right Kaio. She snapped her fingers. A red three-tailed fox appeared in a poof of smoke. Kaio bowed his head. You called Kurami-sama. You did promise to bring Kushi-chan and Mito-chan here to get Naruto-kun today right? Go fetch them. Kurami ordered. As you command princess. Naruto-sama, I should not take more than an hour to get your family and bring them here. Kaio bowed to Naruto and vanished in a poof of smoke. While the messenger fox went to fetch Naruto's family, our young future demon ruler started a conversation with his former tenant. Naruto did notice Kurama blushing as they talked. She was acting the same way Gina did, something Naruto made a second mental note to study. What makes girls act so strange? Like all boys at this age, future demon king or not, Naruto was young and naive. When it came to the opposite sex, of course, that would change once he was a lot older. Uzumaki compound. Kushina and Mito were already up, dressed, and busy. They were having breakfast. Gina joined them in her human form. Soon Kaio arrived and smiled. Kushina-san, Gina-sama, I've come to take you to retrieve Naruto-sama. Instantly the Uzumaki duo halted their breakfast and were all ready to go, but first Kushina activated the new and improved security seals designed personally by her clan that not even her late husband Minato or his sensei Jiraiya could remove. Only an Uzumaki or someone close to them could remove these seals. The two Uchiha Uzumaki females quickly took off, nothing more than blurs to academy students. Urchun and Gina became a blue orb and flew after them. An Anbu sent by Sarutobi to investigate the strange events from yesterday arrived at the compound. The only reason Sarutobi didn't send them sooner was because of the nightmare he had about Kushina killing his family, and he wanted to make sure they would be safe. But as the Anbu walked up to the compound gate, suddenly the seals glowed and the Anbu was brutally ripped apart by what appeared to be an S-rank wind jutsu. The rest of the Anbu forces had to clean the corpses of civilians and birds from the ground and burn them the entire night last night. Forest. Aya leapt through the trees, followed by the Uzumaki pair. Gina, right beside them. Kurama and Naruto were waiting right outside of her den for them. They quickly sensed 4 signatures coming fast. Soon, 3 blurs appeared right before the 2. Naruto sensed his mother's chakra signature coming towards him rather fast, and he braced himself with a sigh. Here we go again. Kachan overreacts. He knew how his mother got whenever he wasn't within her sight. Always the worried she was about him, and also Naruto was the only one who could control his mother. When her battle lust overtook her common sense, Naruto indeed loved his mother, but she could be such a drama queen sometimes. The red blur quickly tackled Naruto to the ground and kicking up a lot of dust with their landing. Quite obviously Kushina, once the dust cleared it, revealed the red-haired Jonin hugging her son, tightly keeping him pinned on the ground, making a scene that could easily be misinterpreted by anyone perverted like Jiraiya, Kakashi, or Sarutobi. Kushina cried out. "Oh my little Naru-kun. I'm so happy you're okay. I was so worried." She held onto him tighter, not knowing she was now smothering his head in between her large breasts. "I was so worried about you. I was so scared that those teams had taken you from me." Naruto managed to get his face free of her cleavage. "Hey Kachan, could you let me up please?" Again he felt the urge to show his mother a good time. He still didn't know what that meant yet. Kushina smiled down at him. "Sure Naru-kun." She slowly removed herself from on top of him while blushing after realizing the position they'd just been in. "Sorry Naru-kun, I got a little too overexcited." Naruto quickly tackled his mother onto the ground. Now he was the one on top. The young demon prince gazed down at her, causing her to blush. "It's fine, because now we're even Kachan." His 3 tails waving behind him. Kushina was blushing as her son easily held her down with his newly gained strength. "Naru-kun," her heart began beating faster. "I can't move." Naru-kun has become much stronger. Her face flushed a whole new shade of red as she felt a familiar heat rising between her thighs. "Oh my Kami Naru-kun, you have no idea what you're doing to me right now baby." Her face was now lit up like a red Christmas tree light. She suppressed an erotic moan. Naruto noticed his mother's blushing, also he smelled a strange sweet scent coming from her. Kachan's turning red again, but why and what's this strange scent? Seeing her son's adorable wolf ears, Kushina couldn't help but reach up and stroke them. Kushina stroked them with a smile and blush. "Your ears are so kawaii Naru-kun." Mito pouted like a child. "Oh no fair Kachan. I want to feel Itato-kun's ears too." She quickly joined in the fun, and soon both mother and daughter were stroking their beloved Naruto's ears. Naruto's sweat dropped slightly, yet the feeling was wonderful. "This is strange yet it feels good." Aya was snickering. "This is gold. Wait till I tell everyone." As for Kurama, she was gazing at Gina in joy and disbelief. Kurama stuttered. "Gina-chan. It's really you, isn't it?" Gina smiled warmly. "Yes, it's been a century or 2 hasn't it Kurama-chan?" Kurama ran to her with her arms open wide. "Gina-chan." The two embraced each other tightly, 2 best friends now reunited. Gina's mokomoko and Kurama's 9 tails also wrapped around each other. This was the scene. Akio Uchiha Uzumaki came in on wearing his new Akatsuki cloak given to him by his mother. He noticed the strange scene and raised an eyebrow. Akio chuckled. "Well, you all look like you're having fun." When Akio saw his sister pinned by her son and feeling up his wolf ears. It was quite a very funny scene. Kushina Uchiha Uzumaki, the bloody demoness of Konoha, acting like a lovesick fangirl. Akio couldn't help but snicker teasingly. Wow, One-chan, I didn't know you were into that kind of stuff. Kushina gasped, blushing like a tomato. Oh Itato. Naruto climbed off of his mother, allowing her to stand back up flustered. Mito pouted at her uncle's interruption and got up as well. She had dark thoughts of torturing her uncle in one of her genjutsu for interrupting her bonding time with her little brother. She gave him a sickly sweet smile with an evil glint in her eyes that made Akio grow as pale as Orochimaru. Oh hell, she's pissed at me. Akio gulped and backed away slowly with his hands in a defensive posture. After calming her racing heart down, Kushina noticed her brother's outfit. Itato, that cloak. Yeah, Ka-san, let me finally join. I'm a full-fledged member of the Akatsuki. Akio smiled, seemingly snapping out of his fear towards his niece. Although he kept a wary eye on her, he showed them his Akatsuki ring which had the kanji for void on it. Akio turned serious and stone-faced. Orochimaru betrayed the Akatsuki a few days ago. That Hibi team tried to steal my body too, but I cut off his right hand and taught him a lesson. He might come after Naruto later because of his powers and our Kekkei Genkai, you know he lusts after the Sharingan, and we are the strongest Sharingan wielders around. Kushina scowled. She never trusted Orochimaru out of everyone from Konoha. He was one of the people she despised the most. Orochimaru was right up there with Minato, Sarutobi, Jiraiya, and Tsunade. She clenched her fists. The last thing she wanted was for her Naruto to ever get mixed up with that slimy serpent pedophile. Kushina's eternal manjutsu activated and spun. Her fists were clenched so hard that blood flowed from her sharp nails digging into her palms. She whispered darkly. I'll die before I let that Hibi team within any distance of my Naru-kun. Not like she can die anytime soon due to her bloodline, she's practically immortal. Kushina's wounds on her palm soon healed. Kurama pulled out of her friend's embrace and smiled at her previous host. Hey Kushi-chan. You look well, so how's the Yaki I left within you doing? Kushina looked to Kurama with a warm smile in return. Yeah Kurama-chan, the bit of power you left inside of me is growing stronger with each use. Thank you for watching over Naru-kun for me. Kurama nodded. It was a great pleasure to watch Naruto-kun, Kushi-chan. When together, the two Zetsu were easily distinguished by the two Venus flytrap-like extensions that emerged from their sides, enveloping their head and upper body as a shell, which they were able to open and close. Beneath these extensions, White Zetsu had short green hair and a single yellow eye. The right half of his body was covered by Black Zetsu, whose leg was originally White Zetsu's own right leg. Under their Akatsuki cloak, they wore blue pants and sandals and had both legs wrapped in bandages. Zetsu's green Akatsuki ring, which bore the kanji for sign of the boar guy, was worn on Black Zetsu's little finger. In the anime, Zetsu's fingernails were painted pink and his toenails, as seen in his debut, were blue. This was Zetsu Murata's greatest spy in the Akatsuki. What appeared to be two halves of a giant flytrap were seen on his neck. He bowed to Kushina. It's good to see you again Kushina-sama, you look as lovely as ever. Idiot quiet, I apologize Kushina-sama, no time to chat Akio. Leader Sama wishes to assign you with Kisame on your first mission. Let's go back to the base. The man's voice sounded like each half of his face was talking to each other. Of course Zetsu, got to go. Ni-chan Ka-san has my first assignment. Remember one. Ni-chan watch Sarutobi closely as he won't give trying to control Naruto so easily. Akio replied. Both he and Zetsu both sunk into the ground. Kushina watched her brother and the plant man disappear into the ground. She then smiled to her son. Naru-kun, shall we return home? Naruto nodded. Yes Ka-chan, I'm ready. Can Kurama-chan come with us? Kushina looked to her former tenant and then back to her son with a smile. Of course she can, but she'll need to take on a smaller form whenever she is in fox form. Kurama smiled. Oh, that is no trouble for me Kushi-chan, I can easily assume a normal fox form, my travel-sized form, you might say. She placed a very powerful genjutsu over her den that only she can dispel, and then in a swirl of flames, she became an adorable fox kit with 9 tails. In her fox kit form, Kurama jumped into Naruto's arms and snuggled into them. The family and 2 demons went back to their home. Akatsuki base. A few people were gathered in the cave. There were 3 in all as they waited for their leader and 2 fellow members to arrive. The others were off on missions. One was a very tall, muscular shinobi and was the tallest member in Akatsuki. He had a distinctive shark-like appearance, complete with pale green skin in the manga 13 and depicted as blue-gray in the anime. He also has small, round, wide eyes, gill-like facial markings under his eyes, and actual gills on his shoulders 14 and sharp triangular teeth, much like most of the other members of the 7 Swordsmen of the Mist. He also styled his blue hair in the form of a shark fin. As a member of Akatsuki, he also wore dark purple nail polish. He donned the typical cloak members of Akatsuki wore, and underneath it, he was bare-chested. He also wore a brown sash across the front and back of his cloak to hold Samahata in place. He wore his Akatsuki ring on his left ring finger, bearing the kanji for South Nan, which was yellow and name was Kisame Hoshigaki, known as the Phantom of the Mist. He was an S-rank missing nin from Kurigakure. Kisame was a chakra monster. He had so much chakra that he was known by another moniker, the No-Tailed Beast. His weapon of choice was the Samehada blade. A semi-sentient weapon covered in shark scales that fed on chakra. The scales gave the blade its name. Madara had slanted blue eyes and very long blonde hair, which he wore drawn into a half ponytail, with the rest hanging down freely. The bang hanging over his left eye is what concealed his eye scope, signifying that he was a long-range fighter, but as shown in his fight with Sasuke, it was not permanently attached to his face. After casting the Iwagakure Kenjutsu on himself, he developed a mouth on both of his palms, and on the left side of his chest, he had a large, stitched-up mouth. He used this Kenjutsu to supplement his explosive release to his clay. Before joining Akatsuki, Madara wore a blue and grey kimono jacket with a fishnet undershirt inside, and khaki pants with sandals and a belt-like pouch with a chain. His blonde hair was also tied into a lower ponytail and an Iwa forehead protector. After joining Akatsuki, he wore their signature cloak, navy blue pants with matching shinobi sandals, and an Akatsuki ring on his right index finger, which bore the kanji for blue or green, ow, and was teal in color. He also wore black nail polish on his fingers and toes. Under his cloak, he wore a V-neck sleeveless midriff shirt with mesh armor underneath it, along with pants, stirrups, and sandals. He also wore a utility belt with 2 bags on either side, which he used to carry his clay. Kisame yawned, showing a deadly row of shark-like fangs. Man, I've been so bored lately. When am I going to get to cut some flesh? Samehada's dying of hunger. His sword shivered in agreement. Madara chuckled. Relax Kisame-san, after all you can't rush art. The third much more happy person screamed out very annoyingly. Let Tobi cheer you up with a song, Kisame-senpai. This guy wore an orange mask with a spiral on it and one eye hole in the left side. Tobi cried happily. Tobi loves to cheer his friends up. Because Tobi is a good boy. Madara growled, releasing Kai at his fellow Akatsuki member. Tobi, shut up. Tobi slid back in fear. Eek. Senpai's scary. Kisame grumbled. Shut up both of you or I'll gut you. Madara held his hands up in surrender. I didn't say anything. The mouths looked gross, opening and closing. Tobi was sliding further back. Eep. Kisame-senpai's even scarier. And stop saying that, retarded. You're getting on my nerves more than Tobi. Kisame snarled, baring his fangs, and he started to reach for Samehada. Tobi was cheering. Yay. Fight. Fight. Until a chakra influx stopped him and the other two stood to attention. Soon the three turned as the area in front of them distorted as someone appeared from a swirl a few feet away. It was their leader and the founder of the Akatsuki, Uchiha. She wore the same cloak, only she also wore red samurai-esque armor too that the others lacked. Murata's long hair flowed behind her like a cape as she walked towards her soldiers. Tobi cheered. Yay. Kasama. He ran to hug her only to trip on his own 2 feet and face plant into the hard ground. Luckily his mask protected his face. Oh wee. Tobi trip. Madara burst out laughing along with Kisame. Murata shut them up with a release of Sharingan-induced Kai and helped Tobi up. She smiled at him. Are you okay, Tobi-kun? Tobi's much better now that you're here, Kasama. Tobi said cheerfully, not even fazed by the Kai from earlier. Kisame grumbled. Mama's boy. Tobi stuck out his tongue behind his mask. Naya. Madara's visible eye twitched with a tick mark on his head. Why you little. Soon Zetsu arrived with Akio in tow. Zetsu bowed. Leader-sama, I brought Akio-san, can we go to eat now, Leader-sama? Murata nodded. Good work, Zetsu, you may leave now. I'll summon you if I need anything. Zetsu bowed again. Thank you, Leader-sama, thank you, Leader-sama. With that he was gone, going hunting until needed again. Akio bowed. What is it, Kasen, I mean Leader-sama? Murata took out a folder. Akio-kun, I need you to head to Omegakure and watch this young man, and if you can convince him to join us. His name is Nagato alias Pian, a former student of the Gama Senin Jiraiya. She handed him the folder with a picture of a red-haired young man in his mid-20s. I think he may be in Uzumaki like Kushina-chan, you, and my grandchildren. The young man's face was covered by his hair, but through his hair, one rippled purple eye wax visible. The legendary Rinnegan, the final evolved state of the Sharingan after the Manjikyu and Eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. The Rinnegan was said to manifest in random chosen people and gave that person the ability to wield all 5 chakra natures, as well as 2 unknown ones. Other than that, the Rinnegan's abilities were largely unknown. Many people, including Kakashi, call it nothing more than a myth or mutation. Akio gasped. And Uzumaki. But Kasen, I thought Ni-chan and her children were the last ones. It would appear you're not the last ones of Uzumaki blood left after all. Sachi, he has the same red hair, and besides, he is family. Akio-kun, we need all the help we can get. Take Kisame with you. Murata ordered. As you wish, Ka-san. Akio said. Kisame grinned. Finally a mission. I'm game. The two bowed to Murata and vanished. Tobi, who once was all hyper, was calmer now, his posture showed more power and control. Tobi turned to face Kurama. Are you certain he's in Uzumaki, Ka-chan? His formerly high-pitched voice was now more smooth and calm. This guy was the same one spying on Kakashi earlier. Murata nodded. I know he is. By the way, Obito-kun, how long do you plan on wearing that silly mask? Obito chuckled and removed his mask, revealing the handsome face of Obito Uchiha Uzumaki with an eye patch and one fully mature Sharingan eye, which deactivated into an onyx eye. You bought me this mask when I first got promoted to Chunin, Ka-chan. I will treasure it always. It's not silly, he said with a warm smile that could make girls swoon. His face was not scarred from being crushed under boulders. When Kurama attacked Konoha, some of her Yauki entered the grave and located Obito's buried body and somehow resurrected him, healing all the wounds from the horrible mission that cost him everything. He even got the eye that was destroyed in the mission fully restored. Murata smiled. You know, Kushina-chan and Akio-kun don't even know you're alive, now they miss you. I know, Ka-chan, but I can't reveal myself to them. It would be too painful for them, especially for one Ni-chan. I think it's best if I just let them go on believing I'm dead. By the way, I know Ni-chan has 3 kids now. Has Iniki found a woman yet? Obito asked. Murata giggled. I'm afraid not. Obito-kun. Akio-kun still has trouble around girls since that incident with his fangirls during his genin year. Obito sweat dropped. Seriously, he's still not over that. Ka-chan, I really think Iniki needs a woman in his life. So true, Obito-kun, so true. Murata agreed with her youngest child. I'll see if I can help him get over it. Obito smiled. You were always the best mother to us, Ka-chan. Tu-sen would be proud. Murata hugged her young son, happy to hear those kind words. Thank you, Obito-kun, thank you. 6 months later. Uchiha compound. Yugaku had short brown hair that reached to his shoulders and onyx-colored eyes, with visible creases below them made more pronounced whenever he adopted a stern look, both of which Itachi inherited from him. He wore a simple kimono with grey pants which had the clan symbol on the back when not on duty. Yugaku growled as he punched Makoto in the face, nearly breaking her jaw and definitely giving her a swollen eye. Stupid bitch. I told you that you are not to fraternize with our weapon. Makoto was a fair-skinned woman with long, straight black hair, with bangs hanging on either side of her face to roughly frame her cheeks and black eyes. She wore a simple dark purple blouse with a red plum skirt and a light yellow apron normally worn over it. She cried out in pain and held her now bleeding mouth. Yugaku was pissed because this stupid wench tried to talk to Naruto when she passed by him on his way home, but luckily the police force caught her and brought back to him. They did not want to piss off Kushina since an incident a few weeks ago. The Uzumaki matriarch's been very cautious of anyone wearing a Konoha headband, except for her daughter Mito. One retired jonin who tried something earlier this week disappeared and was never heard from again. His fully mature Sharingan glowed with malicious intent as he sneered down at the wench he had chosen to take to his bed and bear his children. Yugaku scoffed in sheer disgust. HN. She's not even that good in bed. I wish I had managed to seduce Kushina instead of this weak little bitch. At least Kushina actually has the Sharingan and is the daughter of Murata-sama. Any children that she bared from me would be strong and true. Uchiha. Uzumaki compound. Kushina was cutting up some carrots she had gotten to make lunch when suddenly her EMS activated for no reason at all and Kushina looked out the window. Kurama, who was currently in human form and standing next to her, noticed her chakra spike. Gina was training outside in the yard with Naruto at the moment. Something wrong, Kushi-chan? The Kitsune princess inquired. Just a strong urge. I want to head to the Uchiha compound and kill everyone there for some reason. Kushina replied, her taijutsu spinning. Perhaps you should? Kurama asked. Kushina shook her head. No, it's not the right time to yet, Kurama-chan. She deactivated her taijutsu and went back to her cooking. But soon they will all die. They are the biggest threats to Naruto right now. The other clans are nothing. Uchiha compound. Makoto whimpered as she felt a new bruise forming on her face, joining several others. The poor Uchiha woman wonders why Yugaku hates her so much when she had loved him since they were kids. It hurt her, knowing he didn't even give her the same rights the other clan heads' wives had. To him, she wasn't even a person but a thing to own. Makoto felt tears running down her face in sorrow. The gathered Uchiha sneered down at the poor woman. Itachi was off on an Anbu mission right now, but if he saw this, then he would be so upset as he cared for his mother and younger sister, and Itachi was stronger than his father. Shisui was impassive, but on the inside he was angry. You just wait until Kushina-sama kills you all. Then you'll know what a true Uchiha is capable of. Their younger son Sasuke Uchiha had the same dark look in his eyes. Sasuke strongly resembles Izuna Uchiha 20. He has black eyes and spiky black hair with a blue tint. Sasuke's hair hung over his face as younger sister Miko, who was basically a carbon copy of Mikoto, whimpered with tears as her brother kept her pinned to the ground and was pulling on her hair. The proud Fugaku watched his son with pride. Sasuke's a true Uchiha just like me. A chip off the old block. He will be a fine head of our clan one day. He sneered down at his hurt daughter. It's nice to see one of my children knows his true destiny. But you Miko, you are a disappointment just like your mother here. He gestured to the downed and injured Mikoto. Miko tried to protest. But Tusama. Sasuke knocked her upside the head, rendering her unconscious. Mikoto cried out. Why Sasuke-kun? She's your younger sister. It broke her heart to see her younger son only 6 years old and already as cruel as his father. The duck-haired boy looked his mother with dark cruel eyes. So? She's weak mother, and there's no room for weaklings in our clan. Fugaku walked over to Sasuke and patted his shoulder, smiling. That's my boy. Sasuke smiled back. Thank you Tusama. The Mekager. Akio and Kisame have defeated the best AIM has to offer. The minute they got to this village it was raining, hence its name, and the people claim their god Pain Sama makes it rain. Then a group of AIM Chunin and Jonin attempted to defend their village, only to lose easily to the 2S rank shinobi. Akio didn't even need to activate his Sharingan. The down Chunin groaned. What do you two monsters want with us? Akio lifted him by the throat, his 3 Tomo Sharingan now active and glowing. Tell me, where is the one you call Pain Sama? My partner and I wish to have an audience with him. The ninja choked out. Pain Sama will destroy you. We'll see about that. Akio held him up towards his partner. Kiss him, kill him. The shark man grinned wickedly. Finally Samehada has been itching to slice. He withdrew his massive sword and was about to kill the Chunin when suddenly a swarm of paper rushed at him. Kisame easily leapt away as the paper storm swarmed where he once stood. Akio scanned and saw a beautiful woman land in front of them. A relatively tall woman who had short, straight blue hair, grey eyes, amber in the anime, with lavender eyeshadow, and elaborate piercing. Her eyelashes are shown to be a diagonal line at the bottom corner of her eyes, but in the anime, they are shown to be distinctive lines. She has worn a large light blue paper flower in her hair since she was a child. Her facial expression was usually neutral. She wore a revealing navy blue robe with a large hemline on the front and exposed her arms, her back, the lateral part of her breast, and her belly, with her navel being surrounded by 4 more piercings, instead of the standard sandals and leg warmers. She wore a pair of blue pants that also functioned as her shoes, with white high heels, inverting the organization's standard color scheme. What the 2 Akatsuki members noted was that she looked like she was floating, and the lower half of her body along with other parts of her appeared to be made out of paper, along with 2 giant paper wings growing out of her back. The people all gasped and muttered tenshi to each other. They knew it was serious if she had come down from the tower. Akio was impressed, but he didn't show it outwardly. I wonder Kisame is that a hidden jutsu or a keke genkai? I don't know, but she too will be useful for our organization. I hear she's called Tenshi and works with this Pain guy. Kisame replied, slightly revealing Samehada's scales. The woman spoke in a monotone. Why do you want Pain Sama and I? Akio replied in an equal monotone. Our leader wishes to extend an invitation into our organization. Pain Sama is a god, he needs no one's help. She said before sending another storm of paper at them. Akio flashed through hand seals. Fire release. Grand fireball technique. He breathed out a large fireball which incinerated the paper storm. But it fizzled out before reaching the woman thanks to the rain. Kisame smirked sadistically. Akio-san, let me handle her. He charged forward with his sword raised. The woman simply remained where she was but formed 2 swords made of paper. In the highest tower of the village, a man wearing a black cloak. Yahiko had short spiky orange hair and blue eyes, depicted as brown in the anime. Under Jiraiya's tutelage, he wore a short black shirt robe with green trimmings, dark pants, a black and white belt that he tied in front with mesh armor underneath. As an original member of Akatsuki, he wore a long black robe with a red line running down the center, along with armor that covered only his midsection with a pouch attached to it. He also carried a relatively large sword during this time. It was also shown that Yahiko had inherited his master's perverted smile, something that ironically enough, embarrassed Jiraiya. As the Diva Path was the body of Yahiko, it had retained all of his physical features from when he was alive, most notably his medium-length spiky orange hair. But as a path of pain, the Diva Path possessed Nagato's Rinnegan, bore 6 piercings, a metal bar through each ear, 3 studs through the side of its upper nose, and 1 spike stud on each end of the bottom lip. It also had 3 piercings on each wrist, at least 1 on its upper wrist, and some just under his neck. His face became also a little pale. On his right thumb, he wore a purplish-gray Akatsuki ring that bore the kanji for zero, Rei. He also wore a necklace, which was somewhat similar to the one worn by the Sage of the Six Paths. Another noticeable difference between the Diva Path and Yahiko is the expression on their face. As the Diva Path, Yahiko's face bore no telling expression and was in all sense, a walking corpse. Looked down as he began to deactivate his rain jutsu. It seems someone has infiltrated my rain, luckily Conan should more than powerful enough to handle this. He didn't sense the masked figure appear behind him. Obito grins behind his mask. So the Rinnegan, eh? It will be exciting to face off against another wielder of one of the legendary 3 Dojutsu. He flashed through hand seals and shot a fireball at Pain. Before Pain could react, a fireball struck him and sent him flying from the tower. He groaned as he fell. What the someone is in the tower? Obito's Sharingan spun. Come on orange guy, play with Toby. He cried as he jumped down after him carrying flash bombs covered with exploding tags in his arms. He then threw them down at Pain and they exploded on contact. Conan stopped her assault as the rain stopped. She looked up and saw the man falling, then the explosion. Her normally cold eyes widened slightly in concern. Nagato. What happened? Isam appeared in front of her with Samahata raised and his usual wicked grin on. Don't get distracted, woman. He slashed down. On Hagakure Uzumaki compound. Naruto avoided a slash from Gina as they sparred together. They had been sparring for a few hours, working off the great lunch Kushina made for them. Naruto loved his mother's cooking, she was really good at it too. He then swung his leg, delivering a powerful inhuman kick to her side which she barely managed to block. But the force still sent her back a few feet even while blocking. Naruto spoke up calmly. You're good, Gina-chan. The Inugami queen blushed. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Naruto lowered into his fighting stance. Shall we continue, Gina-chan? Gina nodded and got into her own fighting stance. Yeah, let's go again, Naruto-kun. The two Yokai royalty then rushed together and met head-on with twin kicks, creating a small shockwave that knocked several trees down and cratering the ground slightly beneath them. They soon traded blows that sent shock. Gina was in awe as she clashed with her hopeful mate again. Incredible. Naruto-kun is getting so strong and he's still so young. If he is this strong now, then how powerful will he become when he gets older? She trailed off, thinking that if Naruto was this powerful now, then once he got older and received more intense training, not even her younger brothers would be able to defeat him. Gina blushed as she sparred with Naruto, his moves were so masterful for his age. She smiled. Naruto-kun, I just know father will accept you. As for Kushina and Mito, they were on a self-appointed mission. The two Uzumaki beauties were walking around the village, ignoring the looks of fear, jealousy from the other girls, and lust from the men they got. One guy actually had the nerve to try and grab Mito's ass, only for her to break his arm and nearly crush his mind via Sharingan gain jutsu. But Kushina stopped her, telling her they weren't worth the chakra waste. They walked by the Uchiha compound. Kushina gazed at it with sheer contempt, knowing soon she could and would destroy them all and burn this compound to the ground. Just a few more hours, Shisui had informed her the best time to strike would be during the night when everyone settles down. Time skip night time. Kushina, clad in her Anbu captain's uniform, stood perched on a building rooftop just outside the Uchiha compound, her Anbu fox mask on her shoulder. She tied her long red hair into a ponytail and used a hinge to turn it black. Her daughter Mito right beside her. There were a few guards patrolling the grounds with their Sharingan active. Arrogant fools thought just like the Hyuga did, thinking their Dojutsu was the only thing they needed to win. She also had a few no officers keeping watch for any of the Hokage's Anbu suddenly coming in. After killing Danzo, it was a simple matter of altering their seals, which she did rather easily, being a Fuinjutsu mistress. Mito looked to her mother. Kachan, is Shisui in his position? Kushina looked down and sure enough Shisui was stationed where he was supposed to be, on one of the high building tops of the compound. Shisui noticed them and gave them the signal. Kushina nodded. Yes, Mito-chan, now let's begin. She placed her hands in the horse seal. Boil release. Skilled mist technique. Kushina breathed out a cloud of white acidic mist which covered the entire lower grounds. Two Uchiha guards suddenly screamed as burns appeared on them and they melted from the corrosive mist. The other guards ran to their dead comrades only to suffer the same fate and melted down into flesh-colored paste. After that, Kushina lowered the pH level of her mist to a much safer level so her daughter Mito and Shisui could get down and kill any stragglers without being harmed by her technique. Kushina leapt down donning her Anbu mask and snuck into the Uchiha homes, killing every person inside. She used the space-time ability of her eternal Manjikyu to get in and out of the homes before anyone figured out what happened. She slayed them with her sword. Mito killed people via her terrible gain jutsu, which made Kurenai and the Kurama clan look like rookies in comparison. Shisui used his mastery of body flicker to kill other Uchiha before they could even react, with him slitting their throats with his Tanto. A couple of the No officers assisted them, one of them a young man called Sai. Sai has short, straight black hair and dark eyes which contrast with his translucent-looking pale skin. He is usually seen carrying a small backpack with his brush, scrolls, and ninja ink in it. He wears a short black and grey jacket with red straps as customary of all root members, to most likely show his allegiance to the organization. He also carries a tipless tam on his back. The rest of his outfit consisted of a high-collared midriff shirt, black pants, shinobi sandals and gloves with his index and thumb fingers exposed, most likely to facilitate the use of his drawing-based techniques. At the head house, Hyogaku stood over the dead form of Mikoto having slit her throat with a kunai, his Manjikyu Sharingan active. He spat on her face. "Poor Mikoto, you never knew I never loved you at all, weakling." He looked to see his son snap Miko's neck. He smiled. "Well done, Sasuke, you've made me proud." "Thank you too, Sama, so how do we get Naruto?" Sasuke asked. "It won't be easy, son, first we need to get his mother Kushina away from him somehow, unlike this weakling." Hyogaku gestured to Mikoto's corpse. "Kushina is a true member of our clan with a fully mastered Sharingan and everything." Hyogaku explained. "Now she would make a fine wife for me." He grinned in a lecherous manner. "And it doesn't hurt that Kushina far surpasses Mikoto in beauty as well as shinobi skill." Sasuke smiled. "She sounds perfect for us too, Sama. She is Sasuke, and she's even more valuable as the daughter of the first Uchiha leader," Hyogaku said. He smirked inwardly. "What? To Sama, you mean she's the daughter of Murata Uchiha? The very same Murata who challenged Hashirama Senju for the title of Hokage more than 80 years ago?" The surprised boy exclaimed. "How can she even have children? Isn't she way past childbearing age?" "She had gained the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan, son. It is the ultimate form of our bloodline granting you immortality, and you remain the age you were when you awakened it. It also has another amazing power, son. If Kushina were to bear any more children, they would inherit her Sharingan and special chakra, which then would allow us to control her youngest son Naruto." The Kyuubi was said to be susceptible to the Manjikyu Sharingan. Sasuke said. "I've seen Naruto with her too, Sama." He shivered having sensed the darkness within his fellow child, it was far greater than even his own. Once after encountering Naruto with his mother, when Naruto looked at him, Sasuke swore he actually saw the huge shadow of a gigantic black wolf with strange crimson eyes appear above Naruto. What scared Sasuke was the power the shadowed beast practically used. It was equal to the Kyuubi, no, even greater, as if the fox was a pathetic peon compared to itself. But that wasn't as scary as the cold gaze the other boy affixed on him, it was like he was looking right into his very soul. "Well, son, if we can capture Naruto and persuade him to see things our way, then Kushina will have no choice but to become my wife. Naruto means the world to her, and she wouldn't risk his life even to kill me." Sasuke smirked evilly. "Maybe I can convince him by becoming his friend too, Sama, then kill him to gain my Manjikyu." Hyogaku grinned just as evilly. "That would indeed work, my son." "Don't count on it, Gaki, team," said a cold feminine voice. Before Hyogaku could react, a sword impaled him through the chest from behind, piercing through his heart. An Anbu Kunoichi with a fox mask on stood behind him with her sword buried deep within his body. Her long hair was currently tied in a ponytail. Hyogaku turned his head weakly. Anbu, how did you get in here?" He coughed up blood and it was filling his lungs. "Simple, you arrogant fool, I came in through the door." Kushina glared at him behind her mask. "How does he know that information about me? Not even the old man or the rest of the Shinobi Council knows about my eternal Sharingan. Is it possible someone in the clan was spying on us beforehand? Perhaps I should find this spy and deal with him before this news gets out." She then pulled her sword out of Hyogaku and swung it, decapitating him in one clean slash. Sasuke screamed. "To Sama." Suddenly he felt a chakra spike behind him and was grabbed by the throat as he turned to face his assailant and was slammed into the wall behind him. He looked terrified into a pair of level 3 Sharingan eyes which changed into a crimson warp spinning pinwheel. Mito used Tsukiyomi to torment Sasuke, making him witness his father's and clan's deaths again and again. But she edited who did the deed in her game jutsu. She knew the village would take pity on him after this night, why not pin the blame on the other clans and villagers? It would certainly help her family out. Sasuke screamed in terror. "No, stop. Why are you all betraying us? Are you that jealous of us, Uchiha? You will all pay. Do you hear me, Konoha, you will pay." The young soon-to-be last Uchiha saw his father and fellow arrogant Uchiha get torn apart by an Inyazuka member, brain killed by a Yamanaka, stabbed through with shadow tendrils by a Nara, crushed by an Akamichi's fist via Buban by Kano Jutsu, Jaiken to death by Hyuga, and the worst was the civilian mobs with torches and pitchforks, who ambushed and finished off the weakened Uchiha. After what seemed to be an eternity but really just a few seconds, Sasuke collapsed with drool coming from his mouth and a lifeless stare into space. Kushina removed her mask revealing her eternal Manjikyu eyes which glowed in the darkness. She released the illusion on her hair, returning it to its normal bright red color. She turned to her daughter who nodded. Shisui appeared before her. Kushina-sama, I have killed everyone on my end as well. He informed her. Good work Shisui Mito-chan, you head back home, I'll catch up shortly. Kushina ordered. Hi Ka-chan. Mito vanished via Shunshin. Sai appeared in a swirl of ink before her. Kushina-sama, the guards at the gate have reported some of the Hokage's Anbu are coming having heard the disturbance. Okay thank you Sai, you may take the others and go remain hidden until further orders. Hi, Kushina-sama. Sai vanished in his ink Shunshin. Kushina looked to Shisui who looked rather scared now, worried she might kill him. He doesn't want die yet, he knows he still has some use to her. Kushina then placed her hand on Shisui's shoulder. You did good tonight Shisui. She noticed his trembling and playfully smacked him on the back sending him flying due to her immense strength. My. You're so frightened you're shaking. Shisui groaned as his flight sent him through the paper door and outside. He was disoriented as he got up and vanished via Shunshin as well. Kushina smiled. Don't worry Shisui, you're still too useful to me for me to kill you for now. She then saw the corpses of Mikoto and Maiko. Kushina could tell they were already dead before her massacre got started. She shook her head as past memories of her old genin team tried to make their way to the surface. Kushina activated her eternal Manjikyu and used the Amaterasu burning the corpses to ashes. With that done, she vanished via body flicker. On this night which would be forever dubbed the Uchiha Massacre, the Uchiha clan was no more now reduced down to a tiny handful. Murata stood atop one of the buildings with a smile. Kushina-chan I'm so proud for you, you're more like me than you know Musum. Obito grinned. One-E-chan's really become quite ruthless hasn't she Ka-chan? Of course Obito-kun thanks to her husband for trying to make her son, my grandson a loyal tool to this worthless village. Kushina-chan wouldn't care less if it burst into flames. Murata informed. She and Obito soon vanished as if sucked into a void. Time skipped 2 years later. Naruto was age 8 was going to the ninja academy for his first day of it. Not like he really need the academy. Kushina taught her beloved son everything he needed to know last year. Tree walking, water walking, leaf exercise, kunai balancing the works. Kurama was with Naruto hidden in his jacket that Kushina gave him. Gina was walking beside Naruto in her dog form. The crowd was whispering. Great, it's here with its whore mother. Yeah why can't Hokage-sama see that this thing needs to die? It's bad enough it's still alive, but now they're going to teach it how to kill. We must find a way to protect our children from it. They saw the large canine walking with him and cowered remembering the incident where several people lost their lives to that thing. The whispers stopped and they kept their mouths shut and looked away in fear. Naruto just tuned them out completely walking as if they weren't even there. Kushina was leading her son to the academy, making sure no one tried anything. Oh but wait someone would try something. A tall man, with brown eyes, olive skin, short black spiky hair and a beard appeared in their path. His clothing consisted of the standard Konoha ninja uniform with the sleeves rolled up halfway, flak jacket, regular shinobi sandals and forehead protector. He also wore a sash that had the kanji for fire marked on it around his waist, a pair of black bangles, and bandages wrapped around the arms of his sleeves. He was Asuma Sarutobi Hiruzen's second-born son and a former member of the Fire Guardians. Naruto stopped and looked to the Sarutobi Jonin with a calm calculating gaze. Kushina narrowed her eyes coldly. But she chose to stand back and let her son handle this. Asuma smirked. So you're entering the academy, a monster? Not on my watch. You will miss the first day and every day afterwards I refuse to let you get any stronger. He shot through hand seals. Fire release. Ash pile burning. He breathed out a cloud of grey ash. The villagers silently rooted him on. Naruto silently raised one hand and then punched forward, sending a powerful air wave out snuffing out the ash, as well as blowing several civilians away. It also knocked Asuma off his feet. Being a jonin, he managed to get back on his feet. Asuma was shocked that was his best fire jutsu, and the demon just destroyed it like it was nothing. He then donned his trench knives and sent chakra into them until a powerful chakra pressure froze him. Sweat dripped down his face as he looked to Kushina, who had her arms crossed but was glaring at him coldly with slitted red eyes. A full materialization of the Kyuubi appeared above her snarling. Asuma gulped, knowing he didn't have a prayer against this woman. She could tear him to shreds with ease. Asuma silently growled but retreated for the time being. He gave one last glare to Naruto who gazed impassively back. Your mother won't be around to protect you forever demon, when you're alone you are finished. Soon Naruto and Kushina arrived at the academy where the other parents were dropping off their children. The other children saw Naruto and flinched at his impassive stare. No child their age should ever be so cold and mature. Their parents would glare at Naruto, but with Kushina here they don't want to risk a fight breaking out near the academy. Soon warned her son Kiba. Stay away from that boy pup, he's bad news. If you must be near him then try to make him look bad. Adaka-sama. Her son, a wild-looking boy, replied. A little white puppy standing next to him barked in agreement. Inoichi spoke to his daughter. Make the demon miserable, princess. Do it for your mother. But be discreet. A cute platinum blonde girl wearing simple clothes nodded. I will, daddy. That freak will pay for killing mommy. Inoichi smiled and kissed her on the cheek. That's my good girl. The Ashi spoke coldly. Do not fail me, Hinata. You must be the #1 student. He gazed icily at his oldest daughter. Do you understand? The cute girl with short blue hair and lavender eyes copied the gaze at her father. Understood too, Sama. She replied in an equally icy tone. Hinata turned her gaze on Naruto. So that's the so-called demon of Konoha. He's pretty cute for a so-called monster. She smirked. Maybe I'll pursue him just to spite you too, Sama. It's your fault, Kasa eyed. A certain duck-haired boy glared at everyone. Sasuke growled in his mind. It's all their fault that my clan is dead, and worse, they dare try and kiss up to me. This village will pay for what it's done. The tan chunin with a scar on his nose was greeting the parents. He had brown hair tied in a similar style to Anko's. Iruka Yamino had been promoted to chunin just a year ago and was assigned this teaching job of the new generation by Sarutobi. He loved kids and was looking forward to teaching the clan heirs. Until a boy with long spiky golden blonde hair with an exotic mixture of red and onyx black highlights running through it and cold blue eyes came into his sight. His hair was tied in the back in a small ponytail similar to Tsukumo Hataki's, with jaw-length red-tipped bangs outlining either side of his handsome young face like Minato's, a boy that girls would just go gaga over even at this young age. The chunin's tan face paled with fear. He knew just who this boy was, especially seeing the red-haired woman beside him. Okami? No, not him. Not the demon brat. Why is he here? Even now, Iruka still had nightmares of that horrible day when the demon unleashed his evil energy. He received more scars on other parts of his body, but luckily he and Mizuki were actually the farthest away when Naruto's Yaki was unleashed, so they were injured in the least. Iruka shook his head in disbelief. Why is Hokage-sama allowing her son to become a shinobi? That woman is bad enough, but if he becomes a ninja we're all done for. Mizuki glared. Great, it's here. If that bitch weren't around I'd finish the job we started. The job Yondaime-sama left for us to finish. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the chunin's action. It's hard to believe I was once human. Iruka smiled as best he could as he came upon them. Hello, I'm Naruto, was it? I'm Iruka Yamino and I'll be your instructor for your academy experience. Naruto sniffed the air in his direction, easily recognizing the scent of one of the people from that day. He narrowed his eyes into an even icier gaze. So he was a part of the mob that nearly killed me that day. A giant demonic wolf-shaped shadow materialized behind him and crimson eyes gazed coldly at Iruka. Iruka paled, seeing Naruto's eyes darken as if, oh no, he must recognize me from that day. If he tells his mother I'm finished, that woman will tear me and Mizuki to pieces. He paled wider, seeing the giant beast seemingly materialize behind Naruto from out of thin air. But it wasn't the Kyuubi though, no, it was larger and more deadly, a gigantic black wolf and crimson eyes with a third eye in its forehead, which resembled a terrifying fusion of the Sharingan and Rinnegan. But what really scared Iruka to an Orochimaru white was the number of tails that he counted behind it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, what the? 10 tails. What is that thing? It has more tails than the demon fox. And why am I the only one who can see it? Kurama in her fox kid form popped her head slightly out of Naruto's jacket. So this man is a survivor of that mob. I thought I killed them all. He must have gotten lucky. Kushina sensed her son's animosity toward this man. Naruto-kun, she gave her own icy glare to Iruka. What did you do to my Sachi Chunin? Iruka gulped nervously. Kushina noticed the gulp and walked closer. Is something wrong, Iruka-san? You seem to be quite shaken. Nothing, Kushina-sama. Iruka stuttered, trying not to faint. Kushina had her Sharingan active, reading his body language. You're lying to me, aren't you? She moved closer until she was right in his space. Tell me why my son is showing you such hostility. Kushina was easily capable of sensing negative emotions, another little gift gained from being Kurami's previous Jinchuriki. Iruka paled to whiter than Orochimaru. He was on the verge of wetting his pants. Kushina smirked. The Sharingan was the best bloodline to interrogate someone with, it beat the Yamanaka's hidden jutsu hands down. Her Sharingan spun fast as it then morphed into its ultimate form. EMS. Iruka's feeble mental defenses were crushed by the legendary Dojutsu instantly. Iruka couldn't keep quiet and revealed everything to the Uzumaki matriarch, how he was a member of the mob that nearly killed Naruto 2 years ago, which sparked him to release Kurama, therefore embracing his destiny as the Kyuubi's heir. Kushina's EMS glowed red as the ground cracked underneath her feet and her chakra flared up sending everyone except Naruto, Gina, and Kurama to their knees in fright from the huge amount of pressure. This man nearly killed her son and he's supposed to teach him. Not on her watch. Kushina's right arm flared up with fire chakra. Flames danced on her arm licking at the other now terrified clan heads. She raised her arm as the flames flared brighter soon what sounded like a dragon's roar was heard. Iruka shivered as the flames lit up his terrified face. Sasuke watched with interest. An advanced powerful Sharingan and a godlike affinity for fire release. Sama, you were right as always. She's perfect for me. I will make her my wife when I'm older and breed a whole new Uchiha clan. Naruto was looking at his mother's fire-covered arm in interest. Kachan mentioned she was a master of fire release, but to actually utilize it purely without hand seals. Incredible. Iruka cowered as Kushina brought her arm down, ready to tear his head off. He closed his eyes awaiting the sweet embrace of death. He waited for a few minutes, but didn't feel the fire blade slicing into him. When he opened his eyes again, Kushina's arm had stopped an inch from his head, the flames licking at his skin. He was practically sweating up a storm from the heat's close proximity. Soon the flames slowly died down, before flickering out altogether. But Kushina still had an icy gaze on him. She then lifted him up by the vest and took him elsewhere to speak with him. Taking him to the other side of the building, Iruka groaned as Kushina threw him against the wall. Iruka's body cracked the wall upon impact due to Kushina's immense strength. He slid down painfully, and he then saw his friend Mizuki also there on the ground, cowering before the angry cold mother. Naruto shook his head. It would seem Kachan will talk to the instructors on how things will be done. He crossed his arms and closed his eyes. The other children were shocked. The other parents had been terrified and left after saying goodbye to their children, except for Hinata and of course Sasuke. The Hyuga heiress watched Naruto with a smirk. With Iruka and Mizuki. Iruka whispered to his friend. You told her to, didn't you? Mizuki nodded shivering. Yeah. She scares me. Me too, Mizuki, me too. Iruka said, trembling himself. Kushina spoke icily. So you two were a part of the mob that tried to murder my son 2 years ago? Iruka and Mizuki both nodded in terror. Kushina looked down at them with pure venom. If it weren't for the fact that you two are to be my son's academy instructors, I would have killed you right now. If Naruto-kun had asked me to, I would have hunted you both down and killed you back then. Her eyes bled red as her EMS came into existence. Now I will show you what true terror means, Tsukiyomi. Iruka and Mizuki were tortured within the Tsukiyomi for 4 days straight, which outside equaled less than a second, for in that realm Kushina was Kami. But Kushina knew they were needed, so she spared them for now. She healed the mental damage she caused, so they were able to teach and spar with the students. Remember this, Chunin, Kushina spat out venomously. You're only being spared because you're necessary to further my son's training. She turned to leave, but gave them one last malicious look over her shoulder. Oh, and one more thing, if I ever discover that any of you tried to hold Naruto-kun back, then I will kill you both and every other instructor at the academy. Kushina vanished via body flicker, heading back to say goodbye to Naruto for the day, leaving behind 2 cowering Chunin, or rather 1 cowering and 1 seething Chunin. Mizuki was stewing in his hatred. Stupid red-haired bitch. Just wait until Orochimaru-sama gives me power, then you'll be sorry. I think then I'll make you and your daughter my bitches and kill your precious demon brat. The white-haired Chunin sneered as he looked at the cowering Iruka. Ha. You're as pathetic as always, Yumino. I never liked you, soft worthless fool. Kushina hugged Naruto and kissed him on the cheek. Give it your all, Naruto-kun, and tell me if they try anything. Yes, Kachan. Naruto replied, giving his mother a gaze that sent waves of pleasure down her spine. Have fun on your first day. Kushina smiled and disappeared in a swirl of water. Iruka and Mizuki came back and led them all inside the classroom. Iruka was about to protest Naruto, bringing the large dog standing next to him inside, until Naruto explained that she was his familiar same thing with the chibi fox, when she popped her head out of his jacket to see what was happening. Once they were seated, Naruto sitting in the back row. Iruka began to speak. Alright, welcome to your first semester and day of the Ninja Academy. I'm Iruka Yamino, the head instructor and your teacher. This is Mizuki Toji, my assistant. We will be teaching you all the works of being a shinobi. Now, who would like to introduce themselves first? Tell us your name, likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams for the future. Oh. The wild boy, Tsum-san, raised his hand energetically. Let me go first. I want to go first. Iruka chuckled. Alright, you with the puppy on your head, you can go first. Yahoo! The boy whooped. Sasuke inwardly sneered. You can go prance around all the way to hell in Yazuka's scum. Fangirls from civilian families and Ino swooned around his coolness, forming what would forever be known as the SFC or Sasuke fan club. Now, if the girls weren't warned by their parents to avoid Naruto or frightened by his aura of pure darkness, then he too would have a fan club. Naruto completely ignored the Inuzuka boy. The boy shouted. Oi. I'm Kiba Inuzuka. I love my family, dogs, meat, girls, and being number one. I hate freaks like that Naruto kid and jackasses like Sasuke. My hobbies are training with Akamaru and my one-san. My dream is to be the next Inuzuka head and have many girls. His puppy named Akamaru yipped in agreement. Gina ignored Akamaru. It was shameful what happened to the dogs who still had traces of her clan's demon blood within them as this pup did. They now served humans as pets. Or ninkin as the ninja called them. As the queen of all the canines, it brought great shame and disgrace to their kind for her to see them so subservient to humans. Why did her father have to give a small portion of his blood to the Inuzuka ancestor? Instead she went to sleep. Many introductions were typical dreams from civilian-born students. The fangirls all squealed that they would marry Sasuke-kun. The other clan heirs also wished to become the next heads of their clan, though when Hinata mentioned desires, she gave a discreet glance towards Naruto and mentions dislikes or hates being her father and weaklings. Sasuke mentioned he wished to avenge his clan by killing those responsible and then revive his clan, and what scared the other clan children except Naruto is that Sasuke glared at all of them coldly, as if they or their parents were guilty of a terrible atrocity. He also mentally mentioned making a red-haired beauty his wife when he's matured enough. Naruto's turn came. The demonic prince spoke in a monotone. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I love my family, Kurami-chan and Gina-chan. I despise practically everyone else in this entire pathetic village. My hobbies are training with my mother, Gina-chan, and sister. My dream is not a dream, but a goal. I plan to become the strongest person in the entire world. Kiba snorted. As if a freak like you is strong. My Ka-san says you've been weakened by Yondaime-sama after that night. Naruto looked at him icily. Want to test your theory, Inuzuka? His nails began to sharpen into claws, his pupils narrowing into slits. Akamaru actually whimpered from Naruto's gaze. That was the look of a true alpha. Kiba snarled, baring his own claw-like nails. Bring it on, freak. Iruka yelled. Kiba. Enough. You have detention after class. His head somehow growing 5 times its size, scaring the other kids except Naruto. Kiba groaned as his mother would so kill him for getting detention, not to mention his older sister Hana would ridicule him for getting it on the very first day. Iruka checked his list and nodded. That's everyone. Okay class, normally we'd start learning the village's history. Everyone groaned at this. But because this is a special class with all the clan heirs in it, we will instead have our first sparring session. History can come later. At that everyone cheered. Iruka announced. Okay everyone, let's go to the training field. With that he and Mizuki led the class outside. The students all lined up. Boys and girls all together. Naruto stood together away from the others. Ino squealed and hugged Sasuke, much to the protest of the other new fangirls. Sasuke-kun. I hope you and I get to train together. Sasuke looked at her coldly. Get off me. He was inwardly resisting the urge to plunge a kunai into her head. Her clan had helped murder his as far he had seen. Ino obeyed, looking rather scared, but her fangirl bravado came back and she quickly got over it. Sasuke looked at Naruto as if he was inferior. HN. Uzumaki Naruto, you're my worthy opponent. He walked up. Iruka-sensei. Yes, Sasuke? The Chunin asked. I want my opponent to be Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke asked nicely. But the demanding way he said it proved otherwise. Naruto looked at him coldly. I accept your challenge, Uchiha. Iruka nodded to them both. Very well, the first match will be underway. Naruto and Sasuke faced each other looking ice cold. Mizuki grinned darkly. That freak doesn't have a chance against Uchiha-sama. The second match between Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uzumaki will commence. Boys, are you both ready? Iruka asked them. Yes, the two boys simultaneously replied in a cold monotone. Hajime. Sasuke smirked arrogantly. You're going down, Uzumaki, he declared. It's only natural cause I'm an Uchiha elite. Naruto was impassive with his arms crossed. Glowed after you've won Uchiha, he replied coldly. Sasuke rushed at Naruto and was much faster than most others, thanks to the training his dad put him through, that was for sure, but still moved at a snail's pace in the demon prince's eyes. Sasuke swung his fist only to have Naruto easily dodge it. The Uchiha Avenger growled and continued his assault only for Naruto skillfully dodge each one. Like a genin taking on a jonin. Sasuke's fangirls screamed, cheering their hero on. Hummel that demon, Sasuke-kun. Yeah, you're the greatest man in the entire village, Sasuke-kun. No one can beat you, Sasuke-kun. Oh, Sasuke-kun. Win this for me, Sasuke-kun. Gina looked incredibly annoyed at them. Can they ever be quiet? She was almost tempted to kill them to end their pitiful existence. But that would bring trouble to Naruto, something she would never allow. Sasuke panted. What are you? How can you just avoid all my blows like that? All of his blows could damage a Chunin, thanks to his father's ruthless training, but Naruto outclassed him in every way. It's simple really. The demonic prince spoke with his back to him, then phased out of sight, DBZ-style speed, Naruto reappeared behind Sasuke, shocking him. Sasuke was completely stunned. No way. He's just too fast, I can't even follow his moves. I'm just stronger than you, Uchiha. That's all there is to it. Naruto replied monotonously. Sasuke glared and then turned around, going through hand seals. I refuse to believe that Uzumaki. Die. Fire release. Grand fireball technique. Sasuke inhaled before launching a large fireball at Naruto. The blonde just stood still thinking. I could dodge it. No, I think I will play with the Uchiha a little more. The fireball engulfed Naruto and then exploded. Ino and Sasuke's others fangirls cheered. Hinata ignored them but watched with her Byakugan active. Fools, they don't even realize Naruto-kun is still alive. I can see his dark energy, and it feels so powerful, so dominating. The Hyuga heiress licked her lips with a lustful look as she watched through the smoke. Sasuke smirked. TCH. That will teach him. I am the best. No name clan can compare to the Uchiha. Mizuki and Iruka were proud. Sasuke will be rewarded for killing the demon. But then a silhouette appeared through the smoke and soon it cleared to reveal Naruto perfectly fine with his arms crossed. Well, it was a little cold in here. Thank you, Uchiha, for warming me up. Sasuke gaped, now exhausted of most of his chakra. What? He survived a direct hit from a C-rank jutsu without a scratch. What is he? No. Impossible. How did he survive? Was the thought of the Chunin dumb duo. He really is a monster. Naruto then vanished and reappeared behind Sasuke. Sorry Uchiha, but not good enough. Naruto knocked Sasuke out with a quick chop to the neck. Sasuke fell to the ground unconscious. Sasuke's fangirls went silent at seeing their precious Sasuke-kun fall. Mizuki was speechless. He clenched his fists. No. How can that demon defeat Sasuke-sama? Naruto-kun is incredibly powerful, and still I feel he is yet holding back a lot more of his potential. Hinata thought lustfully as she eyed the blonde demon prince. Iruka announced shakily. Winner Naruto Uzumaki. Oh man, I was right. She trained him to be an even worse monster than before. Hokage Tower. The Jonin were all watching with shock except for two, of course. Naruto had not only survived a C-rank jutsu, but he knocked out Sasuke as if he was a mere insect. Sarutobi was completely floored. Incredible. The boy is only 8, yet he already has Jonin level speed. Just what kind of training has Kushina put her son through for him to reach this level at such a young age? Kushina couldn't be prouder of her son. She nearly did have a heart attack when that grand fireball hit him, but he pulled through without even a single scratch. That's my Naruto-kun, I'm so proud of you. Yet another victory for me over that smug Team Fugaku, may he rest in hell. She giggled inwardly. Mito was practically on cloud 9. My Itato-kun is the best of his generation. Kurama was stunned, speechless physically and mentally. Asuma was shocked. The demon's as fast as Guy nearly. Training GROUND number 9. A tall cheerful Jonin with a bowl-cut caterpillar-sized eyebrows and a green jumpsuit beneath his Jonin vest sneezed. Achoo. I have sneezed. Have I caught a youthful cold? Guy-sensei, is it not said that a sneeze means someone is speaking about you? A younger clone of Guy in the same green jumpsuit screamed out energetically. This was his personal student Rock Lee. You must be correct, Lee. I must discover who it is. If I cannot, I shall repair the poor parts of the villages using only my tongue. Guy exclaimed loudly. Guy-sensei. I will help you on your search, and if I fail I will run to the deserts of K's no Kuni and back on my hands with my legs tied to a rock. Lee exclaimed just as loud. Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei. Insert more Guy-sensei. Lee then insert annoying sun gain jutsu that will not ever be seen. Not in this story. Moving on. The tall male Hyuga with long hair groaned and resisted the urge to gouge his own precious eyes out with a kunai. Why did destiny curse me with those two? A young woman with her brown hair and twin buns and wearing a pink Chinese shirt and black pants was trying to block the annoyances out with the thunk of her weapons on the dummies. Academy training ground. Iruka got everyone's attention with a strange technique that made his head grow and continued to spars. Hinata fought and completely humiliated Kiba. Choji and Shikamaru fought, but as best friends, they quit and ate Choji's potato chips together while gazing out the window. Shino fought one of Sasuke's fangirls who ran away screaming bug demon freak and therefore forfeiting the match. The other matches were all boring civilian children trying to play ninja, so they all lost. Ami got lucky, she fought another fangirl even weaker than herself, she brutalized the poor other girl. Now with Sasuke and Ino conscious again and healed by the academy medic, it was time for the next part of the spar. Sparring with Iruka or Mizuki. Iruka announced. Alright, this is the last part of sparring. You can choose to spar with either Mizuki or myself. You must last at least 5 minutes against us. Mizuki smiled, but it strained slightly as he looked to Naruto. He assured the students. Don't worry, we'll be sure to go easy on you. Sasuke chose Iruka much to Mizuki's ire and lasted the full 5 minutes. Shino fought Iruka, then Shikamaru who used his clan's shadow imitation technique, Ino used mind body switch technique, Hinata chose Mizuki and closed some of his tenketsu with her gentle fist. After the 5 minutes she reopened them for him. Mizuki said. I choose Naruto Uzumaki to fight me. Iruka gaped. Mizuki, I thought the students had free reign to choose. Mizuki took Iruka aside and whispered. They do, but that thing is not a boy. Mizuki, have you forgotten Kushina's threat? You know how strong she is. Iruka warned. She'll tear you apart and me by association. TCH. Hokage-sama can't protect us from that bitch. Mizuki said smugly. Iruka shook his head. No, he can't. Even Yondaime-sama had no chance against Kushina unless he uses his Hiraishin. Even then, just barely. I saw one of their fights when I was a kid and my parents were off duty and took me to see the match between them. Sandaime-sama's way past his prime. While she's still young, Kushina could kill all of us and Hokage-sama and still have time to teach her son new jutsu. Mizuki looked incredulously at him. You're lying, Iruka, no way, the bitch is that strong. Yondaime-sama was a god. It's the truth, Mizuki, she is that strong, and Yondaime-sama was not a god, he was human like all of us. Iruka said with an eye twitching. Why did the whole village believe that Minato was a god? It was baffling. Mizuki growled. I refuse to believe it until I see it. Yubaka, we did see it. Have you forgotten, she used the ultimate gain jutsu of the Manjikyu Sharingan on us earlier. I had heard rumors that jutsu was extremely taxing on the user's eyes, yet she wasn't even phased using it. Iruka yelled frustrated. Mizuki still was in denial. Whatever. Get up here, Uzumaki. I'm already here. Naruto replied, making Iruka and Mizuki jump. There he was standing in a calm pose with his arms crossed, icy stare right at them. Mizuki smirked. Try to last 5 minutes, Uzumaki. He withdrew 2 kunai from his pouch and wrapped an exploding tag around each one's hilt, disguising them via gain jutsu as blunt training kunai. He grinned darkly. These will kill you and end your wretched life, demon. Mizuki lowered into a stance and got ready to throw the hidden kunai. As you wish, I'll end this quickly. Naruto said calmly and raised one hand at Mizuki. A powerful shockwave of force burst out and knocked Mizuki away, sending him into the wall. He hit his head and fell unconscious. The battle ending in just 10 seconds. Iruka gaped in terror. Unbelievable. He beat a Chunin so easily. Sasuke growled, clenching his fists. How? How the hell is he so powerful? I'm an Uchiha, I deserve that power. I'll force you, Uzumaki, to teach me your tricks and use them to kill the other clan heirs and everyone else in this wretched village. Kiba trembled. He's only an academy student like us yet is strong enough to beat a Chunin. He is a monster, just as Kasama said. Akamaru whimpered, hiding behind Kiba. Naruto scared him in more ways than one. The little pup could feel deep within his being, the stuff Naruto showed so far was nothing but the tip of the iceberg. Hokage Tower. Once again all the Jonin were speechless. An academy student defeated one of the most skilled Chunin in the village with such ease. Kushina was watching the orb with pride in her eyes. My son is dominating the academy. Mito was proud as well. This time Guy joined the other Jonin, having dismissed his team for today. His eyes sparkled. Ah. Such a talented lad. Hokage-sama, when the boy has graduated I would love to train him into jutsu. He performed his infamous pose. I could make him the newest green beast. Everyone imagined Naruto in one of those freaky outfits proclaiming youth, which clashed with the calm collected boy they currently saw in the crystal. Everyone, especially Kushina and Mito, shivered at the image in her minds. I ducked as a kunai was thrown at him coated in fire chakra. The fire-coated kunai hit the wall with a thunk and burned a hole through it. He looked to see Kushina with her hand outstretched, showing she had thrown the kunai. You are not allowed within 50 yards of my Sachi Guy, Kushina said in a cold warning tone with her Sharingan spinning. I would rather kiss the Hibi team than allow Guy to train my Naru-kun and force him into one of those atrocities. I was either really brave or really stupid, most likely the latter. He just gave her his signature thumbs up, complete with the pose and shining teeth. Don't worry, Kushina-sama. With my help, your boy will grow up to become a fine young man whose flames of youth equal mine and Lee's. We'll spread the flames of youth to the entire world. I said no, Guy. Kushina fingered the hilt of her katana ready to draw it. Do you want me to cut you up? Enough, Kushina. Saratobi said but gulped as she turned her cold gaze on him. He knew that he had experience on his side, but that was it. She far surpassed him in raw skills and chakra, plus the village wouldn't survive a battle between them. But Kushina finally looked away, back to the orb with her arms crossed. Sarutobi let out a breath that he didn't know he was holding. Academy. Naruto's sweat dropped. Well done Naruto, you're strong. Naruto didn't answer and just walked back to his seat. The rest of the day went by pretty uneventful with Mizuki out. They went to Konoha's history, something that irked our young demon king to be. Iruka lectured on about Hashirama making the peace deal with Kurama and all that boring stuff. Soon the first day ended and everyone went home except Kiba, who had detention. He swore. You'll pay for this, demon. You'll pay. 5 months later. Naruto was the top student at the academy now, much to the instructor's ire. They all wanted Sasuke to be the best, so they attempted to change the grades. But failed because the Hokage stopped them and reminded them that the academy now focuses on true skill and not favoritism due to clan heritage. Now Naruto was currently finishing up his Rasengan training via Shadow Clone. He found a way to learn the Rasengan by himself without his father's scrolls. His mother had taught him Kage Bushin a month ago. His immense Yaki had strange and wondrous effects on his jutsu. Basically they were far more destructive than when any other people used them. Naruto mastered it within a week's time. He felt his clones dispel and their memories of learning the Rasengan became his. Now he might hate his so-called father, but the Rasengan is an A-rank jutsu easily up his alley and would be a very valuable technique to have under his belt. The young demon prince lifted one hand and a swirling black orb with some red in it formed and solidified. The jutsu had a foreboding howl to it instead the normal sound. Naruto rushed at a training dummy and thrust out his hand. Rasengan. The dummy shattered into splinters and the ground itself had a 30-foot crater in it. Naruto raised an eyebrow and looked down at his hand. Black lightning crackled and popped around it briefly. Naruto nodded satisfied. This is a very powerful jutsu, perfect for me. He walked back into the compound as the smell of his mother's cooking came out. A week later. Gina and Kurama were in their human forms alone in the Uzumaki compound. They were just reminiscing about the past together. Naruto was at the academy, Kushina and Mito were off on another S-ranked mission. It was just the two of them for the whole day. Kurama smiled. Gina-chan, we've known each other a while, haven't we? Since we were young. Gina giggled. Yes Kurama-chan, my father and your mother introduced us. Kurama also giggled as the memories flowed through her mind. The two demon beauties smiled as they remembered the first day they met. Flashback several centuries ago. The younger cute-looking Gina was riding atop her father's back in his true form as he raced across the lands as if flying. He could actually fly in dog form, but he loved running more. Taisho was a truly majestic sight in his dog form, the king of the canines. His long tail trailed behind him and the wind rushed through his soft dark silver fur. Not even a demon horse could follow this powerful Daiukai speed. Gina wore a white kimono with various designs. She had her mokomoko wrapped around her waist. Taisho asked. Gina-chan, you alright dear? I'm fine daddy, but where are we going? Gina replied. We are visiting an old friend of mine who wants to meet you. Gina-chan, she has a daughter your age. The Daiukai explained. Really daddy? The Inu princess inquired. Her cute face lit up in a warm smile. Maybe we'll become best friends. Taisho chuckled. Yeah, you do need some more friends dear. He said teasingly. Gina blushed in embarrassment. That's mean daddy. She turned her head away childishly pouting. The dog king laughed. Daddy's just teasing you princess. HMPH. I'm not talking to you until we get there daddy. Gina said in a childish tone. Taisho laughed again. Meanwhile. A younger Kurama with shoulder-length red hair looked up at her mother. Mommy, who's this guest you invited over? She wore a smaller, more concealing kimono with fox designs. The tall beautiful woman with long crimson hair smiled down at her daughter. Her hair fell down to her ankles. Blonde highlights were visible with her hair. A few bangs framed her beautiful heart-shaped face. One fringe of her hair partially covered her right eye. Her ruby-red slit eyes shining brightly. He's an old friend of mine Kurama-chan, you'll make a new friend with his own daughter. Kurama's mother wore a flowing crimson dress-like kimono that was low-cut at the top, showing off her very generous bust, makes tsunade and may look flat. It had slits running up the sides accenting her long lovely legs. Her nails were coated with seductive red nail polish, her lips were a natural cherry red color. She was the queen of the kitsune and Kyuubi no Yoko. 9 gorgeous crimson blonde tip tails swished just above her shapely ass and snaked around her form. 2 fox ears wiggled on top of her head. Kurama shyly smiled. I hope so mommy, she was a shy little vixen back then. The handsome silver-haired kitsune named Kurama wearing simple white clothes appeared before the 2 royal kitsune, yes, the very same one from Yu Yu Hakusho which I also don't own. He bowed to Kurama's mother in respect. Kimiko-sama, your guest from the western lands has arrived. Kimiko smiled and dismissed him. Thank you Kurama-kun, I know he'll be here soon. She heard the howl that announced Taisho's arrival. The fox queen shook her head in amusement. You haven't changed at all Taisho-kun. As a blue orb appeared before her. Soon the blue orb turned into a regal-looking man. He had silver hair tied in a ponytail, amber eyes that were stern yet kind at the same time. He wore a regal-looking kimono that had armor on the top and shoulders, a thick fur pelt went down his back and split at the middle, creating twin tails behind him. Blue stripes decorated his face under his golden slit eyes. But his stern face softened seeing Kimiko. He smiled. "It's been a long time, hasn't it, Kimi-chan?" Kimiko giggled. "Yes, Taisho-kun, it has been a long time." She noticed the silver-haired girl looking shyly out from behind her father's furry cape. "Is that little cutie behind you your daughter?" "Yes. This is my little girl Gina-chan, it's alright dear, come out." Taisho prodded Gina. Gina timidly walked out from behind her father. Kurama studied her equally as shy. The two parents smiled and prodded their own daughters together until they were face to face. Gina smiled and lifted one hand. It's nice to meet you, I'm Gina Taisho." It's nice to meet you too Gina, I'm Kurama Yoko." Kurama took Gina's hand and shook it. Her ruby red eyes looking into Gina's golden. Kimiko and Taisho smiled at their daughter's introduction. Gina said. "Kurama-chan, I have a feeling that we'll become best friends." "Me too Gina-chan." Kurama said smiling. Then flashback. "I never forgot that day Kurama-chan." Gina said placing one hand on Naomi's shoulder. The Kitsune princess blushed lightly. "Gina-chan, do you remember when I met him?" Gina's eyes narrowed. "I do Naomi-chan, that monster only wanted you for your looks." She then pulled Naomi into a hug as the vixen princess began to weep at the terrible memory of the man she thought she loved and loved her back. Kurama had fallen in love with a male kitsune once. He was in 8 tails, she had just grown her 9th tail. The man seemed nice enough, but then he revealed his true colors. He was only interested in Naomi for her looks and prestige as a member of the royal kitsune family. He believed if he could pretend to love Kurama, then once he mated with her after she became queen, he could usurp the throne from behind her back and rule as king of the kitsune with her as his slave concubine. Kurama's father was from another noble kitsune family and married her mother Kimiko, who has ruled the kitsune for the last 1,000 years, but Kurama's father died from a mysterious poison one day. Kurama was only 9 in human years when her father died. The man had tried to rape Kurama, something that was forbidden. Kitsune mate for love and companionship. Rape was forbidden for kitsune, just as it was for humans. Gina had saved Kurama and utterly obliterated the bastard. Kurama looked at Gina blushing. "I still remember after you saved me from him Gina-chan." Her red face deepened as she felt herself beginning to feel hot. Her body trembled with remembered pleasure of her and Gina's activities. She licked her lips suddenly feeling thirsty and not for water. Gina purred. "Shall we Kurama-chan?" She went through hand seals. A soundproof barrier rose up and then Kurama's eye flashed and they were now protected by an illusion. The two demonesses stripped down until they were completely naked. Any man would die from a nosebleed at the erotic vision of beauties before him. Finally, after an hour's rest, the two demonesses came back inside reclothed, having relieved their tension for a while. Kurama and Gina were really looking too forward to when Naruto was old enough to join in. Just the thought of a threesome between them nearly sent them both into another orgasm. When Naruto returned home from the academy, he noted a strange scent coming from Kurama and Gina, which made them both feel very strange, but they ignored it for now. Kushina and Mito returned home later and fell asleep on the floor. It's not the missions tiring them out, it's the fact that the council is constantly sending them on missions. Time skip 5 years later. Naruto, now age 13, have basically taken the academy by storm. He were the top-ranked student, yet his true capabilities were a mystery. Iruka and Mizuki have tried everything to hold them back, but nothing worked. Especially remembering Kushina's threat on the very first day, but Mizuki was sure confident in whatever power Orochimaru has given him. The silver-haired Jonin looked down at them with contempt with his one visible eye. He was standing atop a building behind them. He had an orange book closed in one hand. This was Kakashi Hatake, now again a Jonin and future Jonin sensei, after he retired from the Anbu forces. Kakashi hated Naruto with a deep vengeance. He still foolishly believed Naruto was the Kyuubi incarnate. He would kill Naruto and his family no matter what he had to do, and it would cost him his life later. Kakashi sneered beneath his mask. "Enjoy life while you can, demon scum, soon it will be extinguished. Sensei will be avenged." He vanished via leaf shunshin. Soon pure young demon king arrived at the academy. The other kids sneered at Naruto, but he'd just go to his seat without bothering to look at any of them. Sakura and Ino, the two loudest fangirls of Sasuke, were terrified of Naruto. They didn't even try to make fun of him. Soon Iruka and Mizuki arrived. Iruka with his usual friendly smile and Mizuki with his obviously fake smile. "Good day, students. It's nearly time for the genin exams. Today we will all review the transformation technique," Iruka said. At this, everyone groaned except Naruto, Hinata, and Sasuke. Soon Iruka began calling off people. Some people like Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto along with the other clan heirs managed to do a perfectly good henge of him. The weak civilian-born students could barely manage to gather the chakra needed, much less perform the hand seals. The day at the academy went by pretty quickly. Naruto soon was his way back home. When Naruto sensed weak chakra signatures surrounding him, he stopped and narrowed his eyes. Soon several blurs were seen, and a small group of villagers along with 4 genin appeared before the demon prince. The genin were older ones who failed the previous chunin exams. They were hoping to gain recognition from killing Naruto. "Hey well, look who we came across," a villager said with a sneer, tapping a crowbar in his arms. "Yeah, the demon brat all alone," one of the genin said, drawing a kunai. "Let's avenge our loved ones and Yondaime-sama." Naruto sighed. "I guess I could use some amusement. Come then, show me your resolve." He activated his Rin Sharingan, which had 7 Tamo in each eye now. The 4 genin launched themselves at Naruto at the same time. "Die, demon." Naruto raised his arms outward. HMPH, how foolish. Almighty push. Instantly a massive force blew them all away from the young demonic heir. Naruto was briefly covered in a clear force field. They all crashed into the buildings, hurt really bad if not dead, blood spilling from their open mouths. The civilians were terrified. "Did you see that? Yeah, he really is a demon. If he can repel attacks we'll never be rid of him. We're doomed." Naruto left for home, leaving a mob of frightened civilians behind. Mizuki was watching with hatred in his eyes. "Enjoy your power for now, demon, soon Orochimaru-sama will give me power that will surpass yours." He turned and vanished. Next day, academy. The following day, Iruka had everyone review the clone technique. Everyone who was called up passed. He then called Naruto up. Iruka was confident. "I'm sure thanks to the demon fox, he can't perform the clone technique. I'll fail him and never have to worry about seeing him again." Mizuki grinned evilly. "Once he fails, I'll convince the demon to steal the scroll and then whip up the other shinobi into a frenzy for his blood. Not even that mother of his can fight off all of the other shinobi by herself." Too bad that Naruto said the one word that derailed all their plans. Shadow clone technique. Instantly 20 flesh and blood clones of him appeared in poofs of smoke, all of them in same calm compass stance. Naruto can actually make a lot more than just 20 clones, but held back enough. Iruka and Mizuki's jaws dropped in pure shock. He knew the shadow clone all this time, why then did he refuse to graduate early? Naruto dispelled his clones with a mental command. "Well done, Naruto, the shadow clone is an advanced clone jutsu you pass with flying colors," a shaking Iruka said, handing Naruto a headband. The boy silently took it and went out. Iruka shivered, all the times Naruto thought he was holding back and still beat all other students who challenged him. The demon boy was far stronger than they feared. Mizuki clenched his fists. Damn it. He knew a B-rank jutsu. There must be a way. He then saw Sasuke brooding. Mizuki grinned. "Excellent. Orochimaru-sama pines for the Sharingan. Maybe he will reward me greatly if I convince Sasuke-sama to join him." Mizuki walked over to the brooding boy. "Hey Sasuke." The Uchiha Avenger looked to him coldly. "What do you want?" "I just wanted to talk with the number 1 student," Mizuki said kindly. Sasuke scoffed. "TCH. Uzumaki's the top student, not me." "Yes Sasuke, but there's a way to beat him," Mizuki said, grinning. "What?" Sasuke turned to him with icy cold eyes. "You'd better tell me how I can beat Uzumaki." Mizuki's grin turned wicked. "There's a scroll in the Hokage's tower that can help you beat that brat." Later that night, Sasuke rushed through the forest with a huge scroll on his back. TCH. It was easy, the old fool is not worthy of the Hokage title. He jumped towards the meeting place with Mizuki-sensei. Sasuke didn't know that Naruto was right behind him, having seen what he's done. Naruto narrowed his eyes. "Uchiha, you're making a big mistake, one that will cost you." Kurama was with him on his shoulder, easily clinging to it. Naruto spoke. "Kurama-chan, you know what to do." Kurama smirked fierily. "Of course Naru-kun, that fool Iruka will suffer." The two of them followed Sasuke all the way to a clearing. Naruto landed in front of Sasuke. He had his arms crossed. "Stop right there, Uchiha." Sasuke sneered, halting in his tracks. "TCH. I should have known you track me, Uzumaki. Your senses are like an Inuzuka's. Never compare me to those pathetic Inuzuka again." Naruto spat venomously. Being the prince of demons and a powerful wolf demon, comparing Naruto to an Inuzuka was one of the worst insults anyone could ever use on him. "Sasuke. What have you done?" yelled Iruka as he jumped into the clearing. "TCH. Mizuki told me if I got this scroll I could beat Uzumaki," Sasuke said coldly. "Well done, Sasuke-kun. Now give me the scroll and you will receive power beyond your wildest dreams," said Mizuki as he appeared in his full chunin gear with a massive shuriken on his back. "Mizuki. Did you? Iruka was silenced as Mizuki threw a shuriken at him. He had to duck to avoid getting hit. Ha. Ha. You always were a soft fool, Iruka. Mizuki said cruelly. Always crying like a baby about your parents' deaths, thinking you're the only one who suffered. You disgust me, you and the rest of this foolish village. Iruka gasped. Mizuki, those are words of treason. Mizuki laughed manically. Ha. I've already betrayed the village, remember that guy who vanished on one of our missions? Mizuki, you don't mean. I'm the one who killed him. Mizuki laughed harder. You monster. You're worse than Uzumaki. Iruka cried out. Sasuke now looked confused. My father always said Naruto's connected to the Kyuubi, but never mentioned what that connection was. Mizuki grinned. Sasuke-kun, do you want to know why? Iruka screamed. No, Mizuki, it's forbidden. Naruto looked impassive. I don't know why it's forbidden still, considering it's old news. Both of the Chunin looked at him in confusion. Mizuki scoffed. What do you mean, Kyuubi brat? I mean, I no longer hold the Kyuubi within me. I did several years ago, but after a mob which you two were a part of nearly killed me, I unleashed her. Naruto said calmly. Iruka and Mizuki looked confused. Her? They were so stupid they never noticed Kurama in her kid form on Naruto's shoulder this whole time. Naruto spoke. Kurama-chan, I'm going to have some fun with them. Kurama leapt down and turned into her human form. Okay, Naruto-kun, I guess I'll play with the little Uchiha weakling then. Sasuke glared at the woman. How dare you call me an Uchiha elite weak bitch? He rushed her foolishly head on with two kunai. Mizuki spoke. Iruka helped me kill him and I promise you that my master can bring your parents back. He grinned as Iruka looked hesitant, especially remembering Kushina's threat. But he was bitter and really wanted his parents back. Iruka withdrew a Fuma shuriken of his own. Alright Mizuki, I'll help you and end his stain on our fair village. Excellent choice, Iruka. Mizuki said but inwardly smirked. Fool, as if I'd let you take credit for my kill. As soon as we kill the demon you're next. You can have a happy reunion with your pathetic parents in the afterlife. The two Chunin charged Naruto, who activated his Rin Sharingan. Naruto had a hazy black aura around him. Show me the power of a Chunin. Shadowy tendrils burst out of the ground in front of him and reshaped into huge claws of black energy. The sinister claws shot towards the Chunin who couldn't see them thanks to the blackness of the night. Forest near the clearing. Kushina and Mito were racing towards the clearing, worried greatly about their precious Naruto. Mito sent a shadow clone to follow her brother and had explained about Mizuki's plan to her mother and the two demonesses. Kushina was utterly livid. I knew I should kill those two weaklings years ago, they will not lay a finger on my Naruto-kun. I'll fix my mistake and kill them right now. She and her daughter easily outpaced the other shinobi heading for the clearing. Both Uzumaki women had this thought. Hold on Naruto-kun, we're coming. Gina was in her human form following as well. Like I would miss a chance to view Naruto-kun in action. Naruto vs Iruka and Mizuki. Naruto had immobilized both Chunin thanks to his shadowy claws. The young demon heir looked bored. Please tell me this isn't all you two are capable of. Iruka finally looked down and gasped in terror, seeing a massive claw of black energy holding him. He struggled. Let me go, demon. Let go. Naruto narrowed his eyes. As you wish. He slammed Iruka into the ground with his claw, rendering him dazed for a while. Mizuki smirked. This won't hold me for long, demon. He then struggled harder than Iruka before he was crushed by the claw, only to poof into a log with exploding tags on it. He used the body replacement technique and added exploding tags. Clever. Naruto easily defended himself by forming his shadowy barrier, it protected him from the explosion easily. Naruto dismissed his barrier and faced Mizuki, who was in front of him. I'm not an amateur unlike that weak fool Iruka. Mizuki pulled something out of his pocket. A vial with a strange red liquid given to him by Orochimaru. Naruto raised an eyebrow, sensing a dark aura within the vial. Of course far weaker than his own aura. Comparing that aura to his own was like comparing a tiny drop of water to the entire ocean, but enough to mutate the Chunin. You think drinking that liquid will help you against me? Naruto inquired. Of course it will, demon. Mizuki opened the vial and drank the liquid. Soon he groaned as he bulked up, becoming more muscular. His eyes turned slitted and green tiger-like marks appeared on his face and his canine teeth slightly sharpened. Iruka gasped. Mizuki. What's happened to you? Naruto's eyes narrowed. The liquid mutated him, does he really think he can defeat me? Mizuki grinned sadistically, baring his fang-like canines. Now demon fox, you will die. He charged Naruto much faster now and beat his fist back, aiming a powerful punch at him directly. An explosion followed his movement. Iruka watched. Mizuki, you would really go so far just to kill him? Kurama vs Sasuke, completely one-sided. Sasuke was covered in burns. Ugh. What are you? This woman was really strong, he didn't even have half a chance against her, she utterly beat his ass around the area. Kurama walked slowly towards him, her 9 tails snaking around her form. You should know, boy, after all I'm responsible for dozens of deaths 13 years ago. You mean you're the Kyuubi? The now scared Avenger shouted. You're smarter than I thought, Uchiha. Yes, I am the Kyuubi no Yoko. Kurama phased out of Sasuke's sight and appeared in front of him. Her eyes began to glow red. Sasuke felt her power take control of his mind. Now sleep, Uchiha, and when you awaken this will have only been a dream. Kurama ordered. Instantly Sasuke fell unconscious. Kurama looked down at the unconscious Uchiha. Well, that takes care of him. I think I'll see how Naruto is doing. She turned her attention to Naruto's battle. Mizuki gasped as a clawed hand blocked his blow with ease. What the? The clawed hand wrapped around his wrist, halting his movement just before it hit. Naruto had a hazy dark aura around him, his head was bowed with his hair covering his eyes slightly. He looked up to reveal glowing crimson slit eyes, he had black outlines around his eyes and mouth similar to those of a wolf. His hair grew in length, looking more spiked and feral. His hands ending in wicked-looking claws. Naruto smirked, baring wickedly sharp fangs. Impressive, Mizuki, I see that strength of yours would be enough to easily kill a normal chunin or jonin. He had a smile on that would make Orochimaru wet himself with fear. Is this the limit to your strength, Mizuki? If so, I'm disappointed, I was hoping for a true challenge. The demon boy said in a bored tone. Mizuki jumped away. TCH. This is nothing, demon brat. Mizuki began to change more as he bulked up even bigger, his eyes turned feline-like. His skin turned the color of tiger fur, actual fur grew out of him, and tiger ears grew from his head, his nails grew into sharp claws, and a tiger tail soon burst from his pants, swishing back and forth. Mizuki threw back his head and roared like a real tiger. I sense your power has grown 10 times more, perhaps this will be fun. Naruto said with bloodlust dripping in his tone. Kurama shivered from the bloodlust in his tone. It turned her on so much. Her nipples were hardening and slightly leaking milk, her clit was so wrecked it was poking out of its hood, and her juices started trickling down her legs. If anyone were to look, they would see the wet spots on her form-fitting revealing kimono. She was releasing a ton of ferments. But thanks to his Kyuubi heritage, Naruto easily resisted and ignored the urge. Mizuki leapt back faster now and then looked for an opening. He then rushed at Naruto from behind. But the demon boy eyed him over his shoulder and roared, sending out a powerful shockwave. He blew Mizuki away from him. Mizuki went sailing and crashed through several trees, badly hurt by that one attack. His body felt as if the Kyuubi had crushed him multiple times. He choked, coughing up blood. Ack. With just a roar, how can he do this much damage? The hurt tiger man struggled to get up. Ugh. I can't give up so easily. He then was grabbed by a claw of shadows. Naruto slammed Mizuki through the area, destroying several trees. Iruka, who now had recovered, cried out. Mizuki. He charged Naruto with a kunai. Damn you, demon. Only for Kurama to appear in front of him with a red flash. Sorry, I can't let you disturb Narukun's playtime. She smirked before raising her hand at Iruka. Get out of my way, woman. I must kill that boy because he's not the Kyuubi, you fool. I'm afraid that the demon fox you're looking for, Kurama's ruby red eye, glowed an ominous red and the pupil turned slitted. Is right here. Iruka was completely shocked. Why, you're the Kyuubi then all this time? Kurama giggled. It really doesn't matter now whether or not you all discover I'm free. Narukun couldn't care less about this village, even if he tried. A dark ghostly blue flame flickered into existence in her hand. Goodbye, Iruka Yamino. She shot a blast of ghostly blue flames which incinerated the poor chunin on contact. Mizuki struggled to break free of Naruto's shadow aura claw. Naruto then dropped him hard on the ground. Mizuki groaned. Arg, that hurt. The tiger Oni-like man stood up, but just barely. Grr, damn you, demon. I will not be stopped. I will kill you and become a hero. I, Mizuki Toji, swear to kill you and be loved by all. Oh, spare me your whining about heroics, please, it's grating on my ears. Naruto said in an almost annoyed tone. I'm getting tired of you all spouting off about heroes, don't you know? Heroes don't exist, you simply make them up to hide your own stupidity and cowardice. Mizuki snarled. How dare you, demon. You're dead. Purple chakra swirled around Mizuki, increasing his power and speed tenfold. Naruto smirked slightly. Now you're making this more interesting, Mizuki. He phased out of sight again. But the girls. Kushina and the other girls watched Naruto's fight with Mizuki. Kushina clenched her fists, glaring at the tiger-like man. Her violet eyes turning into her eternal manjikyu. Her chakra began to swirl around her. Mito placed one hand on her mother's shoulder. Kachan, calm down, Atato-kun can handle himself. Kushina was silent watching the battle. I know Mito-chan, but still Naruto-kun's my precious son. It's so hard for me not to intervene and kill that bastard Mizuki myself. It was taking a sheer force of will for Kushina to just stand there and do nothing, while her only son fought against a traitorous Chunin, even if she knew her baby could easily handle a Chunin. Back with Naruto. Mizuki charged, putting on a burst of speed and slammed his fist straight into Naruto's face. The force behind it actually caused Naruto's head to turn to the side. Mizuki smirked. "Heh, how did you like that, demon? Not a bad punch if I do say so myself." But Naruto soon turned his gaze back to Mizuki, looking rather bored. Not even a scratch on his visage. "Is that all you got?" He's not even fazed. What kind of monster? Mizuki's thoughts were halted as pain exploded from his hand, as if it was being crushed. Naruto gripped Mizuki's hand very painfully and tightly, pulling it away from his person. "I'm disappointed, Mizuki, I really expected better from a Chunin." Mizuki struggled. "Ow, let go of me, demon." "As you wish." Naruto replied and released him. "Die, demon." Mizuki roared. "No, Mizuki, you die." Naruto beat one fist back and punched him. Motionless and cloud bomb. A powerful shockwave tore open Mizuki's back without even moving him, blood spewing out of the hole like a faucet on full. Mizuki's face forever frozen in terror. He was dead. The body fell to the ground. Naruto then turned to Kurama, who handed him the scroll using her tails. Naruto put the scroll on his back to return it to the Hokage tower. Several Anbu arrived. They all sneered behind their masks, but knew they could do nothing, especially since Sarutobi had informed them Mizuki had played on Sasuke's desire for power. The lead Anbu walked up to Naruto and held out his hand. "Naruto Uzumaki, you have done Konoha a great service by returning the sealing scroll." Naruto narrowed his eyes but didn't say anything. He just handed them the scroll. Naruto turned and walked off. The Anbu watched him leave. Kushina and the others greeted Naruto and Naomi, and soon the whole group vanished via pure speed, heading back home. One Anbu in particular with a cat mask and long purple hair watched the boy. She was amazed. Mistress Kushina truly has taught her son much. "Come on, let's get this scroll back to Hokage-sama." The Anbu all vanished via body flicker. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.